Damn it. Damn it.
It still says James Courage.
Really? Well, that should have stopped that stream.
Yeah, no, it's not showing up yet.
Okay. I probably confused it.
Oh, there, I see it. Okay.
Okay. That's odd. Still says
Yeah,
off.
sure.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, we're on.
That's odd because the restream window. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. So, we're on Periscope and YouTube. Why is that doing that? Okay. Nope. Do not need that window up. My sister was asking if we were gonna go on Facebook, but I haven't ventured into doing my own personal Facebook page with Saturday Night yet because I don't know. You know, we all have family and people there that sometimes I think I don't want to do that. Although they could come on and argue with us.
Sure.
Okay, so I guess we'll start. See if anybody wants to jump on and join. Please message us. Send me a message on Twitter. I'll try to keep an eye on it here, and or in the YouTube chat. Brian, do you want to watch that one? You usually do, don't you? Okay.
I'll watch the YouTube chat.
So, a couple of things I want to talk about, like election integrity stuff, but I think maybe we'll start off with talking about the end of the Uphill Media show today. So I knew you were moderating there, and so I came in really honestly at the end, and I just saw the stuff about Beto O'Rourke, and I went, no! After all that stuff about... So, Sima Hernandez signed Contract for American Renewal, and we were, behind her. Beto O'Rourke is just the next neoliberal in line. I'm sorry, but he didn't even support Bernie in the primaries, everybody. In case you didn't know that. I think he was silent throughout the primary and then endorsed Hillary. So yeah, so he waited a bit. But to me, that doesn't count. So, or it counts in a bad way towards him. So I am not for Beto O'Rourke. And when I saw that, and okay, Willie Nelson.
Yeah, see, here's the problem, because their argument, or the arguments that they were posting there, that, well, at least he's better than Ted Cruz.
Oh, here we go again.
Here's the problem. If we continue to do that and just vote for the lesser evil, it doesn't really get us.
No, it doesn't.
We're not progressing. We're stagnating, or allowing things to get incrementally worse, which isn't helping anybody. Maintaining our status quo as we continue to slide to the bottom, it's killing people.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to stop this, and supporting somebody like Beto honestly doesn't make any logical sense.
No. I just had to change my one of the audio settings in the middle of this. I'm not sure if it might have been on the wrong thing. So if anybody, I think we fixed our major sound issue we were having over the summer. But if anybody notices anything, sorry. So I understand for a lot of people, they don't. I was kind of surprised to see that on Uphill Media, but I don't watch all the time. I don't know exactly kind of where they stand. I think we're pretty hardcore. We don't compromise on that stuff.
Right.
I just feel like, yeah, like you said, it's not, how is it ever going to get any better? It's not, it's incremental change or not change. And I'm just going to pull up Beto O'Rourke's Uh, Here, let's see if Kelly can do share screen. Let's try that again. Okay, so if I do this one, right? And pull it down. Hang on. Bear with me. I think I know how to do this now. Okay,
Yeah.
that should be showing up. Let's talk about Beto. Okay, first of all, as I said before, he did not support Bernie during the primary. And, yeah, oh, look at him. Isn't he so cute? No, look at all this money. Okay, top contributors. AT&T, Democracy Engine. It's just all you have to do to answer the question who's he going to support is look at his big donors and the fact that he did not support Bernie.
Yep.
And to me, that's really all you need to know. You go back to whoops.
And the argument that the guy is in Texas honestly doesn't make any difference because we could have had Seema Hernandez.
Right. Oh, and I should darn, I should have had that pulled up. There was an article about, I think what's his name? Miami Gator. Is that his name? He goes by Miami Gator. Wrote about Seema meeting with Beto. And, my thoughts were, don't give him any pointers on how to fake like he's for the people. Yeah, I mean, he had no interest in talking to the people she was talking to or really representing any of them. So I get it. Ted Cruz is big and scary. And what was that ad with the bacon wrapped around the end of the gun or something? That's scary. But what people don't seem to understand is that when you put somebody like Beto out there, I think that increases the number of people that are going to go to Ted Cruz or stay home.
Right.
You're just perpetuating this idea that, well, not idea, you're showing that the Democratic Party is for big money, big donors, and not for the people.
Yeah, a corporate Democrat, I mean, honestly, is no better than a moderate Republican. There's almost no difference between the two.
Nope. So yeah, it was really, I mean, I'm not a country music fan, but I guess Willie Nelson's kind of his own thing, and I've always loved his politics, and that was just, oh my God, that was really upsetting to see that. Him wearing a Beto shirt on stage. No. It's things like that eat away at my hope for this country.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I mean, no, we just cannot do that anymore. No.
Yeah, it's really disheartening.
No. And I don't know where he stands now in the polls, but I remember a while back seeing him post, he was so excited that they were like a point or two up in some poll against Ted Cruz. Well, that right there tells you all you need to know. If you're only a point or two ahead of Ted Cruz, yeah, not good enough, and it's gonna fail. And another thing, I just have to point out, we've talked about it before. My daughter, not knowing any better, posted a Vice News thing about Beto O'Rourke and how, look how hipster cool he is. He used to play guitar. And I said, you better take that thing down now. Because to me, two things. We've already fallen for that shit. Bill Clinton on Arsenio Hall, which some people are playing the sax. Some people are too young to remember that. Other people maybe, I don't know, they forgot. But, and also I would encourage everyone to go listen to Moderate Rebels, Max Blumenthal and Ben Norton talking about Vice News and how Vice News has come to really be pushing this, military stuff and how do I better word this? I can't remember how they worded it. Just pushing an agenda, the U.S. empire agenda, it wrapped up in this, cool hipster vibe of doing all these other little pieces that are, things that cool hipsters want to hear. And how it really is, I don't know, just go listen to that. I'll see. Actually, let me see if I can post it underneath on the YouTube page or something here. But yeah, it's Moderate Rebels, Ben Norton, and Max Blumenthal.
Right.
Okay, yeah. Vice News. Let's see. Oh, where is that? Okay, I may have to find it later. And anyway, Vice News, hello, Bill Maher. He's like producer or I don't know if he's head producer. Let's look that up. I don't know this current. Yeah, Bill Maher team with Vice News Magazine. I don't know. Let's see. Shane Smith, I used to love Vice News. I liked Shane Smith. I used to watch this. It was good. But again, I think that the 2016 primary really opened my eyes to look deeper at like all of this stuff. Recognize the corporate media for what it was, and that ultimately this is not a right or left thing. This is the powers that be and the rest of us.
Right. Yep.
So, anyway, let's see. Shane Smith is vice founder and CEO. Bill Maher's executive producer. So, yeah. And as a former Bill Maher fan, I want nothing to do with that. Let's see. So, do we actually have anybody in the chat that wants to talk about that or no? We started late. I've been without.
No, not really.
Okay, we're talking to ourselves. That's okay. We were without internet for over 2 days. Spectrum. There was Hurricane Michael, but I'm in North Carolina and it really was not much of anything here, but we had no power for 24 hours and no internet for over 2 days. So that's why we were late starting.
Yeah.
But, okay, well, I kind of hoped somebody would want to join to talk about that part, but that's okay. Anyway, no to Beto. That's what I say.
Yeah.
No.
I gotta completely agree.
Nope. Not gonna cut it. And let's see. I don't know much about this, but someone just Lisa McCormick tweeted at me. Cory Booker 2020. Let's see, what is this about here?
Are you kidding me?
Hey, that'd be a great ticket. Booker and Beto. Booker O'Rourke. There we go. Change, right?
Wow.
So when a right-wing nut job wins over that,
yeah, that would be disastrous. The Democrats would lose.
don't be surprised when it happens.
Jeez.
But unfortunately, I think too many people are still thinking this way. I mean, we've seen it in the comments on the Candidates with a Contract Facebook page when we had Green Party candidate on there. People
couldn't get it right on universal health care. What person in their right mind would think that he would be the right person to run for 2020?
They're all
That's
just the same. They're all the same. They're going to say stuff until they're elected or until they win whatever primary and then.
we know Booker can't be trusted.
Right.
Unbelievable.
I just always want to make a snarky remark about him running into that burning building because. But then I kind of stopped myself because he did save people. So that's a good thing. But I remember just thinking, wow, the look on his face was, wow, that was a publicity stunt. I almost didn't make it out alive from. Sorry. But, I think he was hoping for the photo ops and stuff. With that one.
We know he can't be trusted. He couldn't be trusted on universal. I mean, to think that he would do the right thing as president is nuts. We know he can't be trusted.
But we have the same thing with Andrew Gillum. Yeah. I mean, it's all of them. It's just really, really hard to believe that the Democrats are holding on. They really seem to think that this midterms that they can just have the same message, same old shit. We're not Trump and, beat the drum about Trump and anything else and hope that the blue wave.
Democrats know that they have a captive audience because everybody's afraid of Trump. So they know that they have a captive audience. They know that people still look at them as being the lesser of two evils.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, what the Democrats have not figured out is you can't just be better than the other guy. You've got to actually offer the people what they want this time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the Democrats have figured that out.
No, they haven't.
It's going to be a long time before they figure that out. And the donor money is going to have to dry up first. That's the first thing that's going to have to happen.
That would be a beautiful thing.
For them to figure it out, it's gonna take the donor money to dry up.
Yeah, let them spend it all on mainstream media, and then they'll figure it out, I guess. I just think it all comes back to, recently I posted 2 clips of Thomas Frank talking about Listen Liberal, and, well, the other one was about Russia stuff, but From Russia with Absurdity, I think it was titled. But, all the comments that were down below that on the Candidates with a Contract Facebook page were, oh, this isn't the reason. It's not that the Democrats turned their backs on working class people. It's not that. It was Russia and Trump's treason, and it's just like, okay. Regardless of whether there is any evidence that's ever presented definitively about Russia hacking something, the bottom line is it's not the reason that Hillary won. And that's what I think the Democratic Party has to know that, but the public hasn't seemed to figure that out yet. A lot of the public, that isn't the reason that. I mean, do you know anyone that was like all for Hillary and then, they saw WikiLeaks and decided to vote for Trump?
Not that I can think of.
I mean, maybe that there is that out there somewhere, or maybe there are people that stayed home because of that. But on that note, there's still no evidence that that Trump had anything to do with that, or Russia, or anything else. It was just the truth came out about the Democrats. So
we do have one question.
Okay.
Do either of us think that there is actually going to be a blue wave? He says, I see it in the cities, but out in the country, the Democrats seem kind of underwhelmed options.
Oh, yeah. Out in rural area, no way. No. Resounding hell no. I think in cities there will be some because they've continued.
There will be some in the cities who will win, right?
Yeah, because the Democratic Party knows they don't have anything else to offer, so they keep just the media is hyping up everything they can to keep people sort of riled up, which it does seem to be working with a certain segment of people, like the rabid comments. I'm sorry, but in on that Facebook page of just no to Jill Stein, and Thomas Frank doesn't know what he's talking about, and just blue wave this, and you know
Yeah.
they're just still stuck on that. So I guess that will work with some people, but no, out and I mean I'm in a very blue area of North Carolina, and I'm sure everyone around here will vote blue. Um, I will if I see anybody individually that I think.
Yeah. If there's an individual candidate that
Hmm.
is progressive enough to earn my vote, for
Right,
sure.
right. Um, I know I've told this story, but when I voted here in 2016, I voted for Jill Stein, and that was it. And I walked out,
Yeah.
and there was a table out, Democrats, of course, and they said something to me. I don't remember what on the way in, and I said, "No, I'm not. I don't see anybody in our district. I've looked at all of them, and no." And they were just kind of shocked. And then I stopped on the way out and talked to them a little bit more. But I said, I will look at each candidate, but just because they have a D by their name, no, I'm sorry, that does not
Yep.
get my
Right.
vote.
And it's what people fail to remember. What was the Tea Party strategy? They didn't sit there and say, well, maybe a moderate Republican. No, they
No,
said,
no.
we've had enough. We're going to stick to our guns
Mm-hmm.
to pick the people that represent us.
Yep.
And that's what they did. They didn't settle for second best. They didn't settle for the lesser of two evils in their view. They settled for the person that was going to represent their interests as they saw them. And they stuck to that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how they got those people into office. They didn't back down. We need to do the same damn thing. Stick to our guns and only pick the people that represent our interests and values.
Yeah.
We won't have to worry about selecting the lesser evil, because at that point they'll start to figure out what's going on, and they will have to cater to us because it's the only way they're going to get elected.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sure we piss off a lot of people or the blame Susan Sarandon. We're in that camp along with her, right? But I'm sorry, and people can call us extreme or whatever they want. I will just say my first vote was for Ralph Nader. I voted for John Kerry, which was my I wasn't paying attention vote. And then I voted for Obama twice, and then Jill Stein. I vote on issues. I don't give a damn what the party label is. So I really don't. I mean, I don't see myself ever voting Republican because I just don't believe in, profit over people. But that's the same reason I wouldn't vote for Beto.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So I just don't. This whole vote shaming and this whole. I was trying to find it. There was an Intercept article. I can't remember. It mentions Ocasio-Cortez, and I think it was quoting her at the time. I'm paraphrasing, but it was like saying that there needed to be, of course she didn't say a Tea Party of the left, and that's probably what the middle of the road Democrat would then point at us and say, oh, you're being like the Tea Party. But hey, it's an effective strategy.
It worked.
Yeah. So this article, it said, I think she was quoted in it as saying something along the lines of like, yes, all the candidates have to band together and say, no, this is the line in the sand here. No, this thing that's, in the middle is not good enough. And we're all going to stand here, just like the Tea Party did, and say, that's it. We're sick of it. We're either, universal health care, and we're not bending, basically.
Right.
But now, of course, we know what's happened with her. So, Although maybe I actually haven't followed anything really recently. Um, but it seemed like she was kind of bending a little bit, and the praise from McCain.
Sorry, I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. I'll sit and talk to myself. That's okay.
I'm sorry. I'll be right back.
That's quite all right. Hang on, I'm gonna see if where is Snork? Well, we're late anyway. Thank you, Spectrum Cable, for that. All right, so I'm gonna stop video for a sec while I look for an article. Yeah, okay. Cory Booker, October 8th. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place a bit here. But this was an article that was sent to me. Senator Cory Booker headed to Iowa, officially launching his 2020 campaign. Oh boy. Yeah. Wow. Oh, okay. It quotes Lisa here. Lisa McCormick. Hi, Lisa, if you happen to be listening. She say here. Yeah, Lisa McCormick was quoted in this article. It was wrong for Republican Governor Chris Christie to virtually abandon our state by campaigning for president while he was being paid by Garden State taxpayers, said McCormick. It would be equally wrong for Cory Booker to ignore his responsibility to New Jersey. That will show he is out of touch with the public. But I mean, that's what they all do right away. All of them.
Yeah.
They get to Washington and they're there fundraising.
Yep.
And running for their next.
Yeah.
I just wish people would wake up and see you can't, as long as they think Beto is an acceptable answer. It's not going to change.
Yep.
And that's just really disheartening. Which is why I typed in the chat, Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be sellouts.
Right.
Billy Nelson. That's so sad.
Yeah.
Well, actually, let's look that up. Let's see. What are the latest numbers on Beto and Ted Cruz?
Good question.
Since nobody's really watching, we'll just talk to ourselves and look stuff up. Okay. Beto O'Rourke's war chest bothers some Democrats. No, really? Should it? Oh my God.
It shouldn't bother anybody who is considered voting for him. It should bother everybody.
Oh wow. This is dated October 12th. A new poll completed Thursday night by the New York Times Upshot Siena College indicated that Mr. Cruz now leads O'Rourke by 8 percentage points.
Nice.
There you go.
So the Democrats have once again shot themselves in the foot by picking the more corporate-leaning candidate rather than getting behind someone Hernandez would be probably wiping the floor. With Ted by now.
But they want to spend their energy getting mad at people like us and Susan Sarandon instead of noticing that, hey, maybe regular people look at that and go, to hell with that. I'm not supporting that.
Right.
And that says it all, to have a Ted Cruz lead.
Yeah, I
Oh my
completely agree.
God.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Oh well, this is where I just sit back and watch them lose. And
It just shows that they still don't know how to run campaigns that have a chance of winning. I mean, against somebody like Ted Cruz, you don't have to do very much. He should be 20, 30 points ahead of him by this point. Everybody knows how bad Ted Cruz is. This is ridiculous. It just goes to show that Democrats have no clue what they're doing.
well, they have no clue, but I think ultimately it's they don't want to. The donors run everything, and they're not about to have Sema Hernandez. And I think that, with half the country in poverty, I don't know what exact numbers there are in Texas.
Yeah.
You know, people might be uneducated, but they're not all stupid. And they can look and see that Beto O'Rourke is bankrolled by, he just looks like another slick, and okay, well, let's talk about Ted Cruz and his kind of religious nut stuff. Well, people don't have anything else. They turn to that. So, go figure. Crazy.
Yep.
That's just nuts. So yay, so they're like, that's working. So let's get Cory Booker in here too. Oh God.
Yep, completely agree.
I'm just gonna sit back and I might laugh. I hate to admit that, but I might laugh. Because they're not learning. They refuse to change. They're not gonna get it. They don't want to.
Yep.
So, while I don't want to see these real right-wing Republicans in office that are going to, wreck the environment, and do all this, stuff like that's irreversible. Economic inequality is it's not up to me. We're just a couple of people that are pretty vocal about the fact that we won't vote against our own interests. We're not, the whole population of Texas that's going to make the decision on this. I'm just saying, calling it like I see it, which is that I think people don't fall for it anymore. And they stay home or they vote for a nut like Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, I guess since we've got nobody joining on this, I'm just gonna show my.
We've got Garden in the chat.
Oh, hi, Garden. Does he want to come on and talk?
Don't know yet.
I could just put it. Hey, we haven't had our trolls showing porn in a while. Should we dare to put the Zoom link in the?
Probably not a good idea. To be completely honest.
All right. Let's see where. Okay, I'm gonna find that Intercept article too about Ocasio. Yeah, and there's just. I mean, I think we've talked to some really great candidates that I like to think really would not just do what Andrew Gillum has done or any of the rest of them and fold, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I guess it's easy to say when you don't have any money and nobody's enticing you. But, I mean, like recently we asked James Singer, who's running as a Dem in Utah. I mentioned Andrew Gillum, and I asked him what he would do if, would he bend on issues? And he said no, that he would run as an independent. So That was a good answer. But
I thought that was a great answer.
Oh, I missed this one. Steny Hoyer and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez talk Democratic unity.
Talk what?
Democratic unity. This was from the end of July. I didn't see this.
Oh no, not Steny Hoyer.
Oh, wow.
That's disheartening.
Oh, okay. Well, this...
That's disheartening.
They're not going to give in. They're not. They're just going to have their asses handed to them again. I don't know.
They just don't seem to learn. It's almost like they don't want to learn.
Well, they can't because it's the donors. It all comes down. They're not ever going to change. They're only going to fake like they're doing it, right? Let's see. Did Garden want to come in and talk, or is he not in?
He said he would message if he can. He said he had to restart some software. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's see. We'll just. That's pretty cool that Lisa was quoted here. She's a candidate I hope that runs again in 2020. I really hope that all of them do. Because a lot of them did really well with very little money. And, 2 years from now, that's even more name recognition. And oh, uh-oh. I knew there was something with the volume again. Crap.
Yeah, yours is a little higher than mine for some reason.
Okay, I don't know. Let me see what's going on here. Probably just because I'm projecting. Crap, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I'm going to put it back where it was and just see if that's any better. If it's not, I'm going to have to monkey around with these settings. Let me check something. Okay. Oh boy. Hang on. Well, I guess probably a starting late and stuff.
Yeah, not a big deal.
Okay. All right. I just changed something again. We'll see what that does, but I really don't know what to think. Other than I'm talking loudly and my dog's barking, so that might have something to do with it. So, okay. But honestly, you sound low to me on here, on Zoom.
Do I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on a second. Let's see if there's anything I can do with my volume.
So maybe it is something on your end. Really? What now? You want back out? Come on. Go out. Go out. Go out. Okay, I'll leave the door open. Dog doesn't like politics. Yeah, I'm not really sure what we fixed things, I thought, on the audio settings.
sent Garden the link. I think he got it.
Okay.
I posted in the chat and then deleted it.
Oh, okay.
Because Garden's not on Twitter.
Oh, right. He always does that.
I thought he, oh, that's right. He kills his account and then.
Yeah, he comes and goes. Adds to the mystery. Okay. Well, I apologize if I'm super loud still. We'll try to fix
Garden
that.
Says he's having issues. Hold on a second.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll be live looking at our screens because I actually want to find this stuff to share. Just a sec. It'll take me just a second. Actually, I have it here. I just need to move it from one laptop to the other. Aha! Wait, do I know Gunter? Oh, from...
He's in the chat.
Wait, from Uphill Media?
Yep.
Oh, hello.
I got there.
Did he? I wonder if he heard the beginning, what I was saying, what we were saying about Beto. I felt kind of bad, like I didn't mean to come in and drop a bomb. Hi.
Not too bad. How are you, Gunther?
Doing good.
I didn't really mean to come in and drop a bomb there at the end of the show today. I just happened to...
There's like an audio round loop thing. One second.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I think everything's okay, unless I've really got something weird going on with the sound.
That's weird. It won't let me delete the Zoom link.
Uh-oh.
That's not bad.
Oh well, if we have to, we'll just stop. That's okay. Let people come in and hang on one second. I'll be right back. I'm gonna find out something about the sound.
Okay. Can you guys
Yep.
Okay.
I can hear you fine, Gunther. Yep.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, the audio loop is gone, so
Gotcha.
okay. So yeah. I'm kind of excited about the midterms. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. I mean, I think the real issue is that we need more staunch progressives to run and actually do better than they have been. I think that's a real problem. It seems like the Democratic Party and just the nature of politics itself makes it kind of difficult for grassroots progressive candidates to really get an edge.
Yeah. I think there's so many things that progressive candidates can offer this country.
Right.
I just think that, like, there are so many things that are basic human rights.
Right. I think you muted yourself.
Oh, yeah, he did. I'll unmute. No?
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there are just so many like basic human rights that people recognize in places like Norway and Sweden, and you know, like as a young person, and don't take this the wrong way, but I used to be a Trump supporter. I kind of understand why people support Trump because you know there's this whole process of globalization going on that's like robbing us of our jobs and.
Right.
Yeah, but I was just gonna say that progressivism is much better. It's not hateful. It's not like full of people that you would rather just not be around. And yeah.
I don't take it the wrong way at all. I think Absolutely there are Trump supporters that are racist, sexist pigs, and I have a problem with them. There are also people like this woman I just ended up, I don't know how we got on the topic of politics in the middle of Target, but we did. And we got talking, and she finally says to me, I voted for Trump. And to her, it was she didn't want Hillary. And, we talked and didn't agree on a lot of things, but I understood where she was coming from. And, I live in North Carolina, and I live in a blue area, but the rest of the state is very red. I mean, and they voted for Trump, and you can say, for some people, maybe they fell for, his rhetoric and saying he's going to drain the swamp and all of that. But, I mean, I understand it because I think that Thomas Frank is spot on in his explanation of why Trump won. And that's why people voted for him. I don't, the Democrats want to paint out every single person that voted for Trump as that extreme, they were in Charlottesville with the tiki torches. Right. And that's just not the case. Sorry, my dog's being loud. Let me put him back out.
It just isn't the case. And
no.
What I gotta say is, I live in California, but I live in a part of California that's like the most mechanized, purest form of capitalism you could ever imagine, right? So like there are these companies that own everything, farmers that own like nothing but the farm, and there's an entire class of like farm hands that aren't even citizens, and it's such a super straightforward hierarchy that I just feel like it's full of political dynamite, and I think that's the situation in a lot of rural places, and I just think,
Yeah.
I completely agree. I live in California myself. I'm here in Orange County, and I'm a committee member of my local Green Party. So I hear you.
Another thing this person in Target said to me was that she knew a lot of people that voted for Trump, and they didn't want to say that.
Right.
Yeah.
And what people fail to understand is that as great as the Democratic Party likes to paint Obama, his policies left out a huge swath of this country. Just were completely left behind. And those are the people that flocked to Trump because they wanted something different. They wanted somebody who was going to basically address their issues and their needs because Obama completely neglected them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could.
Oh, you muted yourself.
We kind of resented ourselves, yeah, but we kind of resented the fact that like nobody would help us. No one would fight for us. No one would like think about us when they were making policies, and that's kind of what drove the xenophobic backlash. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I really regret that. But yeah.
So
I mean, it's a tough situation because people who are losing their jobs right and left. And we had a president who supposedly ran on this great platform of wanting to basically give everybody a shot and everybody a chance. And he just dropped the ball right and left on everything that he campaigned on.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if I missed any of it if you said it a minute ago, but what are your thoughts on Beto O'Rourke then and that whole... Yeah, like, were you did you see the conversation or anything at the end?
I did not.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. So it's just, I was just very disheartened to learn that Willie Nelson wore a Beto O'Rourke shirt. That really bothered me. And I just think that that's not the answer. And we just looked up a poll and, Ted Cruz is 8 points ahead. So it's that same thing, the whole any blue will do, which I think Pat the Burner Silly Rabbit has it right. Any blue will do. DOO with the little poop symbol. That's about it. So, I don't know. I don't. What is your sense then about a blue wave?
Oh my god, no, not out here. I feel like the blue wave is just something the media cocked up, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just, it's not real.
Yeah.
It just seems like people seem to think that we're going to be so angry at Trump that we're going to vote for people that don't actually represent us.
Mm-mm.
And it's not going to happen.
Right.
Why? And the reason they keep beating the same drum, I don't think it's that they don't realize it. I think it's that they can't do any differently because it's the donors that they're answering to. So they're just hoping that they can repackage it and sell it in a more convincing way that people will fall for. That's what I think. I don't know. Where exactly are you?
California.
Well, where?
Central Valley near Modesto.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, yeah, in 2016, I remember, back then I still had cable news. I don't anymore. But, you'd see on the news, they're like, oh, yeah, Hillary's winning, and there's this alternative universe, I'm sorry, my dog's going bananas. And then here in North Carolina, if you drove outside of this little blue pocket, and then also in Pennsylvania, and I was driving to Michigan and back a lot, go through West Virginia. I mean, there were just Trump signs everywhere, and I thought, whoa, wait a minute. It's like this two totally different universes. Like I knew it wasn't representing, they weren't showing what was really happening. So I kind of wonder if it's just the same thing again, and there's not really a blue wave. So, okay, so you don't think there is, not where you are.
No, not where I live. But I gotta say, the whole, like, being for Trump really strongly, that was a fad. So, 2020, I don't think he's gonna win.
Okay. Well, I wonder what in the world we're going to have.
Well, if the Democrats continue to do what they've been doing, he probably will, because they're not getting it. Running somebody like Cory Booker in 2020, that's not going to get it done. I mean, the guy has proven himself to be untrustworthy. The candidate I'm watching, to be honest, is Andrew Yang, who's running as a Democrat. He seems to be running basically on Bernie's platform. He's somebody I'm willing to watch. He used to support Bernie's platform. I might end up voting for him. We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, anyone with the right platform. It's really about the platform. It's not about, like, what party they're part of.
Exactly.
Right. And that's what we try to do. I don't know. Wait, do you guys know each other? Really? Or?
Well, I mean, I watch Uphill Media.
Okay.
It's like a small family.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So, yeah, we do stuff with these two contracts. CFAR, which is Contracts for American Renewal, and CWAC, which is Candidates with a Contract. So, CFAR is pretty much Bernie's platform. CWAC is all about like anti-corruption stuff. And so we talk to different candidates, a lot of Democrats, but a lot of Greens and now independents too. And it's been really cool because I think that it isn't about party. Even those that are running under as a Dem, they're not establishment Dems, obviously.
Right.
They're talking to us, so they're not. But that's been pretty cool because you get past the labels, and they all pretty much say the same things, and I think it's reflective of what really people in the country want. So if they could all just band together and do like the Tea Party did and say we're not going to compromise. And unfortunately, that's on some things that's just what needs to happen.
And we have Jilly Love in the chat as well, and she says that 4 Dems were charged with voter fraud, being paid to send in fake elders ballots in Texas.
Oh,
Damn.
wow.
Damn.
Does she want to come on and talk?
Jilly, you can't hear me?
God.
Jilly can't hear me? I think Jilly's saying that she can't hear me, but...
Yeah, Julie said that your audio is low, Gunther.
I'm sorry, and I bet I'm loud, and I don't know why that's happening again.
Yeah, we've been having some audio issues for some reason. Every time we try to correct it, it seems to, and then
Well,
it's weird.
I think probably what happened, we had a problem with it in the summer and got it fixed, and then I took everything to Florida and tried to do things remotely, and I might have probably messed up some settings. So I'm gonna have to mess around with that. I'll try to talk quietly and not project so much, so I don't blast everyone out. Let's see. Did Jilly?
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep, we can hear you, Garden.
does Jilly want to come in?
No.
No. Okay.
No, she says she's fine just listening.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, then it's not going through my headset. 1 second.
All right. I'm just gonna look at the settings again. Yeah. I really wasn't today. I'm not a regular in the Uphill Media chat. I wasn't really offended. I guess I got my comment removed. Which one was removed?
Something about how voting for, any blue will do isn't going to get us anywhere.
Oh, right.
That's what you essentially
Okay.
wrote.
I mean, I'm not
I completely agree.
I'm not personally offended that it was removed. I just think it was. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one thinking that.
Well, Barbara, who deleted it, said she was sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I think that people need to realize that everyone's entitled to their vote, and they're not entitled to tell other people how to vote. And I'm just so tired of hearing that. I saw something recently. I guess Charles Blow had something to say about Susan Sarandon again, blaming her, and it's so absurd. Go blame the largest group of people, which is the non-voters. You want to blame them because they didn't see anything worthwhile to vote for? It just makes no sense.
Blaming third-party voters is ridiculous.
Yeah. They're just doing the establishment's bidding by doing that.
And on the flip side of that, I don't think Hillary was a lesser evil. She repeatedly said that she wanted a no-fly zone over Syria.
Yes.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane.
I can't believe people
that's World War III.
forgot about this. Yeah.
But the thing is, Hillary wouldn't have set that policy. Like, the policy would have remained the same under Trump or Hillary. Because the president doesn't have control of such things. Doesn't have control of our posture in the Middle East.
Right, but I'm with you there, Garden. I know exactly where you're going. But these same people who are saying this, they don't know that.
Yeah, it's a dumb argument. I agree. Like, it's ridiculous.
Well,
I agree that, again, the differences between Trump and Hillary would be in the margins.
Right.
And they would be in presentation.
Completely agree, yeah.
Well, I actually had this really cool conversation today with an ex-CIA guy named Christopher Burgess. And he's written a lot on Reality Winner and other things. And maybe I'll get him to come on at some point. But I just had a question for him. I wasn't really expecting him to answer, but he did. And I'm not going to speak for him. I'll let him see if he'll come on. But I'll just say this, that his view, and he's written on this, so I don't know exactly where that piece is. If you look up Christopher Burgess, I'm sure you'll find it. But he says that the Kremlin you'll find I wrote that the Kremlin wanted HRC, and then when Trump won, he wrote how they lost their gambit. They had all the knowledge on the DNC playbook. the Plum Book of Appointments, the 8 years of her husband, and 4 years of Secretary of State. So anyway, there's, there's that.
People were making statements like that early on, and, that Russia would prefer Hillary.
Right.
If you remember, part of Trump's original platform was "fuck Russia."
Right. Yeah. Yes, it was.
And Hillary was speaking the language of diplomacy at first, until they decided to run with this narrative.
Yeah, because they had to come up with some narrative that explained how she lost.
Well, and they had it prepackaged. Don't get me wrong, they didn't just bust it out like,
They had it prepackaged.
But they were ready to roll with it, and Hillary's tone flipped once they decided to implement it.
Yep.
But yeah, and the other thing people forget is that we pretty much put Putin in power. After the fall of the Soviet Union, Yeltsin was a drunken incompetent, and we needed to get him out before something really crazy happened.
Right.
So we made sure we assisted Putin.
That's right. Yes, we did.
Getting into that position.
Yep.
And if people think that relationship just disintegrated, it hasn't.
Right.
It's still there. I mean, public relations and what's actually going on behind the scenes are two completely different things.
Completely different. Yep.
They might rail against Putin in the media, but it's business as usual. Let's make sure nukes don't go off. Let's maintain certain economic paradigms. Again, the conflict is on the edges between Russia and the U.S. And, if any, that could change. We're pushing it with Syria. But from what I'm seeing, we're coming to a compromise in that regard as well.
Yep.
Well, I've had my head so down in election integrity stuff that I haven't paid enough attention to the broader picture of everything lately. So Audit Elections USA is preparing to sue a couple of states for not preserving the ballot images. So I've been kind of down in doing that, trying to get some of our candidates that are in the different states to participate as plaintiffs. So that's one of the things I've been doing. So forgive me, I'm not... Well, you always know more about that stuff, Garden, but I don't have much to add to it because I haven't been paying attention.
Well, I agree with you, Kelly. We need to start pursuing some of these things in the courts.
You know what's fun?
Suing the damn parties. We need to start suing the damn states. I'm not in the camp that says that we need to divest from elections. I think that we need to maintain citizen involvement in elections and the election infrastructure. But at the same time, we shouldn't dump all of our energies into the elections as a path to reform. We've seen it time and time again, and studies have borne it out time and time again.
Right.
Your vote doesn't fucking matter.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But there are other avenues for you. Like the courts.
Well,
we need to sue these parties over anything we can find, and we need to sue the states.
Yes.
Yeah.
Over their election procedures and their mismanagement.
Yes.
I think I just fixed the sound problem. Hopefully we can get some feedback in YouTube. And Garden, I remember you specifically saying way back about things needing to be done in the courts. That was the only way. So I don't know. I'm excited to be part of this because I think already we may be getting somewhere with one state realizing just kind of the threat of being sued. Supposedly they will start just following the law, which is the law is they're supposed to save these ballot images, and they're not doing it. Out of 44 states that have the machines that are capable of saving these images, only 4 are doing it.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
And that's a requirement in all of these states?
It's federal law, yes.
It's a federal law.
Like federal and state laws, and they're not doing it.
Yep.
Grounds for a lawsuit.
Yes, it is. So
plenty of lawsuits to
really
be
is.
Yeah. So it's Virginia and then Florida and then Michigan, I think, in that order. So
Billy wants me to speak.
Speak. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure that the audio is working well for everybody now.
Yeah. Sorry, I was quiet for a while. I was kind of busy doing something, but yeah. So, could you guys fill me in on what just happened? Because I was gone for a second.
We've solved the problems. We've solved them all. In one fell swoop. We've been out here 5 minutes. All the problems are solved.
Yeah, Garden solved everything. Is that
That's what Garden does. That's why we bring him in.
right? The audio is fine now. I hope.
Is it? I hope so.
Actually, we were just talking about how citizens need to start pursuing their grievances in the courts rather than express them through elections.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Our election system is a complete mess.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're not even like a straight up majoritarian republic. We have an electoral college that kind of.
Well, it goes even beyond that, to the point where the ballot images themselves, which by federal law are supposed to be kept, aren't being kept by most states. What did you say? Only 4 are actually keeping
4
them?
out of 44. Now, I actually have a Zoom recording of John Brakey talking about this. But I'm just going to show... Well, never mind. I won't put it up on the screen. But
I see Jilly. I get this all the time. Jilly in the chat is saying, "Too bad judges are all bots." Such a Debbie Downer tonight. I've heard this a lot, and it's true. Like,
it is.
The judicial system is far from free of corruption. Okay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, judges just don't have a free hand to just do whatever they want.
Right.
We do have laws and precedent in place.
Right.
And if we want to talk about following, reform through the courts, we can, through a hostile judiciary, I should say. We can go back and we can look at Nixon and the EPA.
Right.
Now, the reason why Nixon was forced to put the EPA through is because the problems got so bad and there were so many lawsuits that the federal government had to step in basically as a protection to industry.
Yep.
There we go.
So we pursued these things through a hostile judiciary before. It's a long, hard process. But, what's our choice? We can't pursue it through courts. I'm not down for, violent revolution.
Yeah.
Right.
The Constitution and our system provides us another option. It's the courts.
It's through the courts. You're right. And Jilly says that the audio is drastically improved.
Okay. That was a really simple fix.
Okay. Cool.
Just let me know if my audio level's fine, guys. I have some new hardware and software here.
So when I
Jilly says that the audio is much better.
all it was I had turned the volume on my MacBook down for a Zoom meeting and forgot to put it back up.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Now, I do have a question. How is the progressive movement going to reach out to young people? Because the alt-right basically reached out and got a lot of us to vote for Trump. They have a lot of popular YouTubers like Steven Crowder and Milo Yiannopoulos. And how are we going to form a movement in YouTube and other platforms to counter that?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be done by the Young Turks.
Yeah. I was going to say.
Oh, you just did that to get Garden going.
Started. I'm OCD about kicking TYT.
He loves Anna. He's infatuated with Anna, so.
It's the truth. That worthless fucking. Don't even get me started.
Oh my god, I
spent
heard.
an hour ranting about TYT.
I actually turned on NPR maybe about 3 weeks ago. I know. It was in the car, and I was changing channels, and she was on there. And she was just saying a whole bunch of nothing. I mean, really, it was so bad. I just...
That's all I do.
Anna was on NPR?
Yes. Yep. Moving on up. So, anyway, to answer your question, I think there are... progressive YouTubers. Maybe there should be more younger ones, but I mean, I don't know. I think of Kyle Kalinske and Jamal Thomas, and I don't know, there are a lot, but maybe they haven't sort of taken hold the way some have on the right, maybe.
They don't
And
really have they don't really have the flair that the ones on the right have. The
right.
ones on the right are super entertaining and funny,
Uh
and then
huh.
they kind of get you hooked, and then they make
Right.
you a fascist.
Well, I think probably also young people see through the bullshit, and
Yeah.
there is too much on the left of, well, okay, that's still better than Ted Cruz. And young people say, nope, not
Yeah.
having it. That's my sense that
What
they're.
we need, what we honestly need, is we need more people like Sema Hernandez, like Kenneth Mejia, uh, young people themselves who are getting involved in progressive politics and taking a stand against this bullshit. That's what we really need. We need more people that can energize young people to get involved in politics and stay involved.
There's one
Yeah.
person that I know. Gosh, how did I meet her originally? I guess it was at the Assange rally in DC, and then we chatted online. Sarah Reynolds. Now I have to say I don't follow everything that recently. But she was a Bernie supporter that then voted for Trump. She's younger than me. I don't know. She's in her 30s. Everything I've seen, she's really, really thorough, like covering everything, kind of the way Jamarl does. So
Right.
I don't know if that might be somebody that people might respond to. I don't know how you would classify her. I mean, I like to think, I hung out with her last time I was in DC. She's a smart person. I don't think that, she's still, last I checked, is supportive of Trump. But I mean, she likes facts. So I would assume that if Trump doesn't do what he said he was going to do about various things, that she won't stay there. So I don't know. Maybe she's someone that people might listen to. But I don't really know that. That's the only person I can think of that, might appeal to. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. There is a shortage, I guess,
I
on the
have to
left.
agree. Yeah, there is a shortage.
I guess because you have, I mean, too many of them just go the way the Young Turks did.
Yeah.
Um, one of the things that really, in my discussion with this woman in Target, was I had this, sort of eye opening experience in 2016 that some of what the right was saying about liberal media bias, I mean, it was right there in front of our eyes. We saw them giving.
Yeah, they weren't wrong.
Right. They were giving all the airtime to Hillary and Donna Brazil feeding the questions. And so we see that a lot of the media is liberal, and maybe what happens is people that start out on the left, they get sucked up into that machine. Maybe I mean the way Rachel Maddow did. She was on Air America, and now look at her.
Well, I think the first step for a lot of people is just to understand some of the basic principles of power. Like, okay, you begin to consolidate power, or a group begins to consolidate power, whether they become thought leaders or captains of industry or any kind of power, right?
Mm-hmm.
Larger interests are going to come and they're going to try to prey on you.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to try to take you over. Or
Right.
if you don't agree to that, they will try to crush you.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Yeah.
So is the key just not getting too big? To keep conversations distributed, to keep ideas just kind of flowing and distributed, and just kind of generally raise the level of awareness of people through that, through them becoming involved, through forums like this, through them doing their own research, and then of course suffering. Suffering is going to play a big role in teaching people like what's up.
Mm-hmm.
So the more they suffer, like the more like they will not have the time or energy to pay attention to the media circus.
Mm-hmm.
The more they watch the media circus and the more critical analysis skills they acquire, the more they'll see through it.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that media strategies are shifting, and they have armies of psychologists with 100 years of this stuff behind them almost. years, 100 years of these types of studies behind them. So it's an ongoing battle as far as, you know, what
I gotta go.
are going
See
to
you guys.
prioritize.
Oh,
You
good
got that.
night. Thanks for coming. Sorry, it just escaped my mind. The media person I was going to mention. Another one that came. Oh well, it'll come to me in a minute. But he has a good point, because maybe it's not entertaining. They've got these big personalities on the right. I think ours just got sucked up into the machine. Right? I mean, Cenk Uygur was that, ugh, but that big bombastic personality, and I can think of another one I won't mention on here. So I don't know.
I was looking at a TYT clip. They were promoting some Justice Democrat. I can't remember.
Snort.
Hey, Snort, what's up? And
it's the basement dweller.
Like, he was going on and on about like how this candidate doesn't take corporate money. They're a Justice Democrat. Blah blah blah. So I go to Open Secrets, and within 5 minutes, I find out this person has been receiving, you know, corporate money.
Yeah.
And they reported it that way? That they weren't?
They straight up said over and over and over, like they do, this candidate is not receiving corporate money.
Oh, wow.
And within 5 minutes of research, like, you can find out otherwise. Like, Alphabet, Google, like, all the big familiar names were up there. And, you know, and what shocks me is that there are so many people that continue to follow like TYT's narrative or Maddow's narrative about some of these things. Really, 5 minutes of research will dispel it.
Yeah, right.
Also, there's a different route for the money to get to the people. There are some candidates that are completely impervious to this feeling of I do or do not take money from corporate. So what happens is, like, Nancy Pelosi will funnel large donations from PACs through her or the DNC through to candidates who can't accept the money but need it. Let's I don't want to name any one specific name, but let's say somebody found out that they caught a lot of flack for taking corporate money, and to the point where they risked not being able to do an election. Suddenly they put up the I don't accept corporate donations either, and they just get given to Nancy Pelosi, and then a little bit later you'll see a similar size donation being transferred.
Exactly, it's a shell game. And with the way our system is now, the shell game is so much easier than it was to play like 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
So as long as one can still take the corporate money, many of them are still taking corporate money, and it's very difficult to see which ones are and which ones aren't.
Yeah.
And on the favoritism, at the Iowa Wingdings, CNN only mentioned 2 candidates that were at the Iowa Wingdings, where the new 2020 presidential candidates come out. And so CNN reported it like Avenatti was the star of the show, and almost nobody made even a comment. They mentioned another guy as being present, but they just concentrated on the Avenatti. Now, the person, Avenatti, he is the lawyer for Stormy Daniels. And this would be the good versus evil fight that they can build in the imagination of the American people. The
morality plays.
Right. So, but they didn't even mention the other 2 candidates. The other 2 candidates that they did not mention were both for single payer and UBI. And in fact, Yang has only been on Fox that I know of, and just a few brief mentions on the other channels.
I really hope he'll sign CWAC and CFAR if he's for everything on there too. That would be great.
I'll be going down to Iowa City next weekend.
Very cool.
I think it's in November.
No.
Now, what district are you in, Snort?
I'm in Iowa's 1st district. This will be
First district.
Finkenauer versus Bloom. There is a Green Party candidate running here. He's going to be ineligible to serve. He will be ineligible to serve in this term and the next.
Damn.
Oh, okay. I was supposed to have on Daniel Clark, Iowa's second, last night, but we had no internet, so I
Yeah,
couldn't do it.
understandable. That's why I sent you that link for where to have an emergency helicopter come
Yeah.
get you in case.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I saw that it was going to hit you pretty hard.
It really didn't. It really was not bad at all. We
Now,
just
your power knocked out can be a major problem.
well, that is a problem, but this actual storm itself was nothing. And yeah, we're gonna get rid of Spectrum internet after this because AT&T was up like almost immediately, and it didn't. Spectrum didn't come on. Let's see, it was over 48 hours, and it was perfectly clear. I mean, I don't know. I just don't understand. So obviously AT&T has got a better whatever setup. So but yeah, we were supposed to have Daniel Clark on. We're in the fun part. Well, this coming week, we've got actually interviews every single night, including tomorrow night, with candidates. So we're out of the Democratic primary segment and we're talking to a lot of independents and Greens, which is pissing people off on the Facebook page. But that's always fun, you know.
I watched some of Andrew Yang's informational videos, and
What do you
you
think?
know, he states points that I've always thought were obvious. That if you dump money directly into the hands of people, it will supercharge the economy. Okay. You know, I don't see his plan as having much success within the Democratic Party. And, you know, right off the bat, he states in one of his speeches, and I think he's done this more than once, is that the Democratic Party is the best chance, best path to reform that we have. You know, I'm paraphrasing. And I just don't see how he can think that his plan is going to gain any traction within that party at all.
It is gaining traction. He is getting large numbers of people coming where places you don't expect it to come.
Citizens? Yep, citizens. But, like, again, the Democratic Party infrastructure is separate from the will of citizens.
That is true. But at some point, Democrats are going to have to realize that the 12% of the population that they represent needs to have some citizens vote for them.
Yeah.
Well, they seem, you know, as long as they're able to maintain between the two parties, maintain this kind of paradigm we have, what other choice do most citizens have? It would take decades and decades, unless we have a major shakeup, for people to really get on board with, like, an alternative political system.
Actually,
Okay, so no matter what they do, the Democrats, whether they ignore the will of citizens or not, they'll maintain their position for the most part. So why should they acknowledge the will of citizens? The law doesn't require them to.
my hope is that the Democratic Party plays tricks on him that he leaves, but it has enough following at the time to actually be capable of going.
Right.
And it's starting to look that way. A lot of I'm doing phone calls and I am seeing, you know, I volunteered for the Democratic congressional candidate Abby Finkenauer, and I'm catching it. A lot of people are very upset. It hasn't been addressed yet about the last election. So
You mean like Bernie should have done at when he
yeah, but
endorsed Hillary?
in the chat, Jilly Love his 101 is that only Bernie Tulsi could beat Trump. I do not think that Bernie will be able to recover for 2020. But I do think that Yang, if you go out and read Yang, you'll see that Yang might actually be better than Bernie. Now, I would vote for Bernie if he was the candidate. I was a Bernie fan then, but and I'm going to sound ageist, but I do think we need a president candidate that could be there for 8 years. And I don't see that with Bernie. And I see this young guy with a lot of energy, willing to talk about ways to actually get things done, not platitudes to soothe the masses. We had Roosevelt. We had somebody that got things done. And that's what we need again. You know, we don't have till 2040 to make the changes. We don't have the time for slow changes. We don't have if we get 1 out of 4 of the things that Yang is proposing, that's not enough. We need the UBI, we need the healthcare, we need to attack the environmental issues. And we can't have a candidate saying, well, $15 an hour is going to be good enough. We'll stop there. We don't have one that can't say, well, if we give them better loans and a longer time to pay it off, no. We actually have to. Jilly Love is asking who. His name is Andrew Yang. Look him up. He's getting ready to tour some more states. I do not know where Jilly Love is out of.
It should be beyond obvious that we have to put environmental issues at the forefront. Immediately.
But you know what, though? Here's the thing with that. I think when so many people are in poverty and so many people are, paycheck to paycheck, they're not worried about that unless it's literally in their backyard.
Well, we could kill so many birds with one stone.
I know, but I'm just saying your average person, I just think that they don't worry about it. If it's providing them a job, then, unless their backyard has, some toxic contaminant, they're not going to really worry about it.
Well, addressing these environmental concerns will provide far more jobs.
Right, sure, but
like what, manufacturing type jobs, working class jobs, than our current system is doing now.
Hey, No, go ahead. Before it gets too late, I wanted to share. I know it's an abrupt change of subject, so we can come right back if you don't mind. Before we get to, but go ahead. No, I want to hear more about Andrew Yang, and I really want to talk to him. That would be so cool.
The earlier statement by Jilly that only Bernie Tulsi a ticket would beat Trump. There's something to that. I believe she's correct, but I would change the wording. Only somebody with Bernie's policies can beat Trump. And Yang has all of Bernie's policies, plus a few more to add to the plate. And he's very against technology and AI, which I don't fault him for. And we've actually had some conversations on finding a middle ground, because I believe that only AI and technology can allow us the leverage to get the work done that we're going to need to do with just so few people. Most people are thinking we have so many people, we don't have enough things to enough work for our people. But to address the issue, the climate is so bad, it's going to take everybody we have working at maximum productivity just to be able to live to 2090.
Brian's just going in and out for fun. Are you entertaining us? What's happening? Your internet?
Yeah, I just had to switch bands. I should be.
Oh, okay.
So I really kind of agree with Jilly Love, but like I said, only the addition I would say is somebody Bernie like.
I think.
I would have to disagree with Jilly.
I think
that
we
ticket
all
won't win. Like, Bernie lost a good portion of his base. That's one reality.
Yeah.
Tulsi, like, her base is bleeding.
We can't underestimate.
I think it will continue to bleed the more scrutiny she comes under.
Right.
All right. And let's face it, the Trump machine, and Trump isn't even in control of this machine. Part of this is the DNC machine, plus the Trump machine, working together to just pump Trump into the media.
Right.
And while that has a polarizing effect, like, there's far too many Trump supporters now for a Bernie and Tulsi ticket to win.
Yeah, what do you think about a blue wave in rural Michigan?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. See?
It'll happen around Ann Arbor, but I mean,
sure, Ann Arbor, that's it.
It'll happen around Lansing, like along that belt.
Yep.
Chicago to Detroit.
Yep, that's it.
Once you get to Detroit, though, it flips and it turns.
Yeah. Right.
If you go north of there, it's Trump. If you go south of there, into Ohio and rural Illinois, you're talking Trump land.
Yep. Why? I mean, it's so obvious. Oh. Anyway, yeah, I think we can't underestimate what you said about Bernie lost his base. I mean, there are a lot of people that were just pissed off that he, turned around and endorsed Hillary, and that he's, myself included, I always pay as much attention. Well, okay, I'm not right now, but I had been since 2016 election, paying more attention to our foreign policy. And that's something I realized the more and more I look, that no, Bernie, he is not what I would want. On domestic policy, yes, but I'm learning more and more. I mean, our military spending, I mean, that matters, and so what we do overseas matters, and so I think I have some disagreement there. But anyway, if you guys don't mind, before it gets too much later, we don't have to get deep into this. I just want to show it. And I'll probably do another segment on this later, and maybe I'll get John Brakey to come on. But so I'm just going to share this, partly just because I'm practicing the screen share. So I make sure I know what I'm doing. Oh, come on. All right, so Audit USA is the one doing, thank you, is the one that is going after the states that haven't been showing their ballot images, saving the ballot images. All right, Audit USA, they were threatened by ES&S, which makes digital scanner voting machines, because they simply put the manual and some pictures of the voting machine up on their website. I don't know all the ins and outs of why that isn't illegal, but they have good lawyers now. They actually have some funding, a little bit enough, and lawyers working very cheaply, good lawyers working cheaply to help. And they wrote back and said, no, we're not going to take it down. This is public right to know, or whatever, however it was legally. Okay. But this is the letter here. So ES&S basically said that they gave him like 10 days to take it down or something. Let's see, 10 days for the date of this letter, which was the 27th. So, oh yeah, we're past that now. I should find out an update. I haven't heard anything. Okay, so keep this in mind, okay? Hang on, let me go back.
They're trying to suppress information.
Exactly. That's what they're doing. Give me just a second. And then I want to show this other, hold on. Sorry, one sec. Me and my 80 tabs open here. Here we go. Homeland Security press release. This is fascinating.
I think it's frightening as hell.
Well, yeah, that's the better F word. Not fascinating. Frightening as hell. All right, hang on. Here we go. Sorry, I should have had these on the ready. Too many monitors. All right, here we go. Oh. Maybe a first. Okay. All right. Let me share this one. Oh, it didn't pull up the main page. Hang on. Now I gotta find it again. It was... Oh, shit. Hang on, what's the date? Hang on. Date is October 10th. No, here. No? The hell is it? Hang on. The 10th? Why did it not let me send the link? Oh, that's so annoying. Shit. That says the 10th. DHS. Oh, wait. No. Hang on. Sorry. The 2nd. What? sorry. I've got it right here. Hang on. I got a better way to do this. I apologize. Twitter. Let me just tweet the damn thing. There we go. And then I can pull it up here. Okay.
Statement from DHS press secretary on recent media reports of potential supply chain.
No, it's not it. Hang on. I got it.
That's not it, but that's that.
I know. It's okay. Hang on. Let me just pull this back up here. I get it. Me and my high-tech stuff here. Okay. There we go. Okay. Take a look at this. All right. DHS holds classified briefing for private sector election companies. And I'll just let you... Anybody want to read that out loud if you can see that while I pull up another thing real quick?
Senior officials from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security met today with members of the Sector Coordinating Council for the Election Infrastructure Subsector and conducted classified briefing on the current cyber threat landscape for the election community. The SEC was chartered in February of 2018 to provide a framework for the federal government's engagement with private sector members of the election community, including equipment vendors, e-poll book providers, and other election service providers. Through the SEC, DHS and member organizations have built a trusted public-private relationship to share threat information, exchange practices, and collaborate on exercises and incident planning. Sharing information is one of the key ways the Department of Homeland Security supports both our public and private sector partners in our shared effort to keep the nation's elections secure and resilient, said Deputy Undersecretary for DHS National Protection Programs Directorate Matthew Travis. Today's briefing is another great example of the growing partnership between DHS and the election sector. So we all work together to ensure that come election day, Americans' votes will be counted as cast. Mm-hmm. Election industry organizations are united with DHS and other government partners in an effort to fortify our collective readiness for November, said Kay Stimson, co-chair of the SEC and vice president.
Pay attention to that part. Co-chair. Pay attention to this part. Co-chair of the SCC, this new sector coordinating council that was formed in February. She's vice president of this Dominion voting systems.
Good grief.
And then you have another person. Who is the other person? Is with ES&S.
One hand washing the other.
Yeah. Okay, so here, let me pull this down. Wait a second. I got this other one now. Okay, here we go. Here you go. Here's this coordinating council charter. Basically, in a nutshell, this is this coordinating council between the voting machine, the vendors, and DHS. Okay? And they're having these classified meetings where no one knows what they're saying. I mean, okay. Coordinate with DHS to develop, recommend, and review sector-wide plans. So, to me, okay, keep this in mind in context of Garden. I don't know if you happen to watch any of the clips. I had shared a bunch of clips from C-SPAN of election security hearings where there's a committee that's Democrats and Republicans that have been trying to get DHS to show them the evidence of the Russian hacking, and they won't. They're stalling. And I was digging around today trying to find anything because now we're at the year mark. They started in October, and they still don't have, where is it? They still have not provided the evidence, and you can hear Christopher Krebs of DHS just stalling and saying, oh, well, let me get back to you on that, and yes, we'll provide. So either what, there isn't any evidence, or they won't provide it. Why? Because it might show some of this proprietary stuff from these voting machine vendor. I mean, what? But all this, if all of this is coordinated between the people that make our voting machines, which we're not allowed to see, and they're going to threaten to sue you if you even put their manual up somewhere. So you've got this secret group, between DHS and those guys. Yeah, sure, that's cool. That's fine. I don't know.
I'm looking at Kay's LinkedIn page.
Oh, okay.
And she's worked at two places her entire life. Number one is where she's currently employed is Dominion Voting Systems.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right, and she's being appointed to these as a co-chair and blah 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 to all of these things. None of that's mentioned on LinkedIn, of course. But before that, she was a director of communications and special projects for the National Association of Secretaries of State for 17 years. Okay, so
Wow.
Okay.
this is another example of a revolving door. It's not an example of it, but
Yes.
if you're familiar with the Better Business Bureau and kind of what they do, National Association of Secretaries of State, I think, is becoming increasingly like that.
Yes.
It's becoming an arm of private interest.
Uh-huh.
And, that's what she was. She was a government private industry liaison for 17 years, and now she's worming her way into government.
Mm-hmm.
We see this again and again.
Yep.
Yep.
Corporate state. And so when I listen to these election security hearings and they're saying, well, we're going to send this, billions or whatever dollars to the states, you just picture these companies with their hands out. Oh, good money. And there was a congressperson in Michigan that spoke up and said, where's this money going? We need training. We need people trained at the polls to do things. And you're not spending any money to actually fix anything. They're just going to handouts for ES&S and Dominion. I mean, I don't know, but why is this? This should be in the news. This is what should be in the news.
This is in the news. It was all over the news that people were like, the 12-year-old broke into a voting machine and hacked it. That was all over media. Do you think people are able to make the connection between that kind of shit going on and wasting all of their energies in these elections?
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. Again, I think we should remain engaged with the election process.
Mm-hmm.
But it's obviously so far gone that people getting so involved in the election process and who's going to get elected and who's going to get appointed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's not the way you're going to reform the political system.
Mm-hmm.
They have that on lockdown.
Right. Well, they do until, okay, so for example, I don't know how much I should say out loud, so I'll just say that one state, the threat, like I said, of suing might make them fix it, but then they may just not. But then they can be called out on that, and then maybe the next state takes it seriously. But I don't know, doing it through the courts, like you said, Gordon, maybe that's the only way to go to change anything.
Yeah, it may.
I mean, I feel like I'm, it feels good to be being part of something as small as it is, my role, but just that might actually get something done, because it does seem kind of pointless otherwise.
It's good that people are involved in the election process. Again, I'm not saying otherwise.
Yeah.
And it's good that some people are very involved in it.
Yeah.
We all have our own parts to play. But just as a general, people are just looking at the electoral system and their elected representatives to enact the reforms that they want, and those reforms aren't going to happen that way.
Mm-mm. Well, anyway, let's get back to Andrew Yang Snort, because I want to hear more about him. I know you've probably mentioned, but how is he? Is he he has his own money? Is he self-made kind of guy? How is he funding his stuff?
He is somewhat self-made.
Okay.
His parents came over here from Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember when, but he is born here. He's a New Yorker,
mm-hmm.
and went to good schools. He has a lot of wealthy friends, but he's with a group that it's not Habitat for Humanity, but it's similar in that he works on helping people get incomes. And so he set up this organization to help people get into job paths. And I can't say exactly what it was, but he did that on his own.
Oh.
And he used to have a software firm. Oh, sorry, Brian.
Venture for America.
Yeah, and but he made the money before that with a software firm to help people prepare for grad school. And so
you think he really has a shot, and a really good sign of that is that the media is ignoring him?
Yes. I don't watch MSNBC or not, so I don't know if they've mentioned him lately. But Fox is mentioning it.
Okay.
And so he caught Fox's attention, and I saw a YouTube of that the other day. So he's made it on the Fox.
Well, we know why Fox is
right.
Yeah.
They're trying to sheepdog people away from the Democrats. You know, they're trying to divide the party.
But on the other hand, a lot of people see Fox.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Probably first place that a lot of people saw him. And, he took the answers pretty well, because Fox started out like it was a joke. And, he stated his side. So I think that was a very important step, that Fox acknowledged that he was real.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I think that it was a good move on his part to go on. He's well
spoken. I completely agree.
Like, I didn't do this specific interview, but he gets his point across. He's sharp.
Yeah.
Giving that guy a platform overall is a mistake.
Yes.
On the part of Fox News, even though they think they're being clever by, we'll present alternatives to whoever the Democrats put up. They think they're being clever, but that kind of shit can come back and bite you in the ass. We've seen it before.
Yep. And hopefully this time it does.
So, having seen people of more than just the 1% income level, I think is an important thing in to be a president. Not to somebody that come across as they want to be the 1%, but somebody that wants to help everybody else get somewhat toward that point. He doesn't want to make everybody 1%, but he wants to raise everybody up. Because I think you have to recognize that we all can't be 1%, and we shouldn't be that wasteful in how we live. It's a fine line.
So what constitutes a good life? I mean, that's,
Well,
the type of people, there are many types of good lives to have. And wealth is going to be distributed unevenly amongst in a society. Okay, that doesn't mean, of course, that everybody can't have a quality of life that, that is somewhat comparable to the level of technology and social organization that we have. I mean, we're living way below what we should.
Well, we need to get to the point where you're not worried that you're going to die if you lose your job. And that's one of the main paraphrases of his campaign gist that I could give. You're not having to worry about, I've got to keep this horrible job that's killing me because I can't afford to switch insurances right now. Yes. Just the little things that we've gotten with ACA that Republicans want to take away. So we need to put in there in such a way that it can't be taken away. And the second thing that he wants to do is that he wants to change the Supreme Court. He wants every 2 years one of them to be replaced.
Oh, I like that.
That might be a bit much, but I agree with his basic premise.
Yeah.
I think they should have long terms.
Well, that is a long term. That's an 8-year term, 18-year term.
Oh, I see. I thought you said 2 years.
Yeah, every 2 years.
One of them has to. Okay.
One of them gets removed, so that comes down to an 18-year. Yeah, I like that.
And I disagreed with him at first. I believe that they should be out in 16 years, but they should be asked to leave at 12, and everybody should throw pie at them starting at 13.
Okay.
That might kill some of them.
Yeah.
Like, that might kill Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah, just my guy.
18 is a major step forward. People change so much in 18 years that person might not be the same person in 18 years.
Yeah.
So saying 18 is a long time. Considering a lot of people go to work at age 18 and retire at 65.
Well, it's a rigorous, disciplined pursuit being a Supreme Court justice, and that changes people.
And prior to that, they're supposed to already be a top-level judge, which means you should already be 20 to 30 years into their career. And so realistically, I don't want to say old people are stupid or anything like that. But what I'm saying is stressing a body past 65 is the same as stressing the mind after 65.
Yes.
Sure, the people can be intelligent at this age and whatever, but you can't put somebody in until the point they die.
Right.
Because if they're going to be unhealthy enough to start going on the path of deterioration, it's going to happen much longer usually than their last year. So let's say they're appointed at 50, because by then they'd have to be an accomplished judge. So if they're appointed at 50, we're talking about retiring before they're 70 maybe. 18 years from the age of 50, I don't think is asking much. We make pilots whose decisions affect people's lives to retire at age 62. And
you mentioned that in the chat, and I disagreed with you. Like, I think 62 is a bit too young, although I would say that there should be some yearly screening. I think when you get to about 70, though, you're definitely pushing it.
And again, it's different with every person.
Right.
But since they can't state, this medical case or whatever, they have to do the generalization by a certain age. Long ago, we established for the general public these rules. And when they said that airplane pilots couldn't be at age 62, that's called a precedent.
Yeah.
That their judgment can't be trusted after that time. And if you say, well, that's because of cardiac issues or whatever, no, it's because the odds of them being ill are that different. Many mental illnesses start with what are called functional illnesses, like a cardiac, cardiovascular. The declines go hand in hand. So, while my brother-in-law was a DC-10 and a 777 pilot, captain, very intelligent, still sharp. And I think it has to be over 15 years now since he's retired. He's still sharp. I would still trust him to fly with me, but the government has put a limit saying he cannot fly that aircraft. So I say the same thing. If you don't let this smart guy, and I consider my brother-in-law healthier than I am, to not be allowed to fly, then why do you have Supreme Court justices who've had pancreatic cancer for over 5 years still sitting on the bench?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like the age. If we were just talking about age, we could mince over numbers. But when someone's exhibited signs of serious illness, or they're
right, and pilots aren't given that option. 62.
Yeah, I think.
Pilot, you're out.
Yeah, just a screening after 65 or whatever, or 70. I mean, I think it is very individual. I mean, my grandparents were 95 and 96. And I'm telling you, they were in their minds, I mean, they were still completely, totally with it. Now, should they have been flying a plane? No. But I mean, there are other people that by the time they hit 70, they're not with it.
You can't generalize on the public.
No.
Or if you do, we're going to be opening a whole other can of worms.
Right. But
you have to state it in the same way that it's.
Yeah. But screenings would make sense after a certain age, I think, right? Sorry.
Yes. But
go ahead. Sorry.
We'd be arguing over what to screen by. If they show cardiovascular issues, well, that would have meant Scalia should have retired 5 or 6 years before he died.
Right.
If we have any of these other issues, there are so many that almost all of the people on the Supreme Court, except Judge Sotomayor, would be off.
Right.
Well, who's the young one? I suppose Kavanaugh's the young one now, right?
Right.
I don't remember his age. But,
well, life expectancy and public health, these aren't static numbers either.
No.
So as, quality of life and life expectancy goes down globally, as it will almost inevitably do. How do we begin to handle like that when we come to precedent as far as age or health?
Think of public opinions on different issues in 1960 versus 1978.
Oh, I completely agree that we need to get rid of this lifetime movement. It does not work.
Yeah, and I do think 18 is an acceptable limit. Like I said, I was jokingly saying they should throw pies at them, but I think it should be 16. But that doesn't work out with the one every 2 years. Or maybe we need to expand the court. I would like to say if it's a 50-50 tie, no longer go with the Supreme Court figuring it out. If it's 50-50, it has to go on the next ballot.
That's an excellent idea.
Yeah, I like that.
And then I'd like, maybe we want 50. Maybe each state should have one Supreme Court justice. Why is there only 12?
I don't know if we would get anything done that way. Not in this environment.
Yeah, maybe not. And, but, or maybe we need to alternate. If it's every 2 years, maybe say, well, that means that every 6 or 8 years, each state gets a Supreme Court justice.
I don't understand why citizens don't have more of a direct hand in these appointments.
Mm-hmm. Well, California, I believe, has some rules where certain things get to the ballot, and I'm not sure how that happens.
Yeah, in the past, what was it? There was one about a year and a half ago. What was that?
I remember Proposition 8. That was one of them, I think. There was another one, though.
One that was more recent, I think.
Yeah, but that proposition thing, should the nation consider it?
Yeah.
But more citizen involvement,
Yeah, I still say on these really big issues that are 50-50 and everybody's so, maybe after the Supreme Court rules, maybe the public should have to ratify.
Right.
For every single one of them, I mean, that would be, I don't know about that.
I don't know.
How would we parse them? Because there would have to be some that, we couldn't put everyone out there.
Maybe the parsing should be by proposition.
Yeah.
A public, for yeah,
I can see that.
At the primaries, you say which ones you feel should be promoted to public ballot.
Yeah, and that is something that we can do for our representatives. I mean, I'm always bitching about our representatives in these parties, but our representatives, like, can fill certain roles, and that would be one of them, is to put forth like something like that for the citizens
Right.
of the state.
And we have a thing here where we can recall our judges. Each election, we say yes or no, they stay. Maybe once every 6 years, we should get the option to say bye-bye.
Yeah, and if enough states want to push it, then then it comes up, and then we see if that person stays or not.
So we do need to be thinking about some of these issues, because we need to clean the government up to get it to go on.
Yep.
Or as the very large billboard that I saw in North Georgia said, something about Jesus and a Bible quote, and then drain the swamp. But it was like a double, maybe triple billboard. It was, wow. This was in between Atlanta and Chattanooga. Yeah.
Yep, then we've got that lunacy to contend with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jesus can save us from it all. Or Jesus wants this to happen in the case of the apocalyptic.
Right. But, I mean, when someone comes along and says drain the swamp, I mean, people are going to respond to that, so, unfortunately.
Well, I'm sorry, everyone. I'm getting really tired. I'm gonna call it.
Nighty-night.
All right, have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Snork, is it still your, noon right now? What is the schedule you're on now lately?
Yeah, I've just had lunch, so.
No, wait.
That's my schedule now.
Oh, really?
And I'm working the damn weekend. Sucks.
Oh, wait. What are you doing working on the weekend?
I'm basically doing nothing. I'm monitoring to make sure that employees are doing their job, and if they have any questions.
Cool. Yeah, I think we're all on we're all crazy night owls at this point, huh?
I'm not really a night owl. I just prefer 25-hour days.
Okay, you have that delayed sleep phase thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. And I'm a night owl. But I typically like to fall asleep between 3 and 4, kind of closer to 4 maybe. So I think I might just be on West Coast time, but I don't know. I wake up more when it gets dark. If I'm really sluggish and as soon as it gets dark, I'll sort of get a second wind.
When it starts getting light out, when I go to bed, pretty soon I'll just kind of snap back and start over again. I don't go all the way around because it's too hard to live with people that way.
Oh, okay. I hear you.
So, right now, I'm going to bed about 5:30 a.m. and I'll probably snap back to much earlier in the night.
Oh, okay. What's much earlier?
Oh, midnight or something.
Oh, really? You can do that? You can just switch back and forth?
Yeah.
Easily? I can't do that.
I can do it, but not easily. I have to do it all the time, but I guess I do. I'm able to do it, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's easy either.
Yeah.
That 24-hour day for me is just too short.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I really get enough sleep, then I'm not tired at the same time the next night. Yeah. I guess that's that delayed sleep phase thing, which I guess is really a real phenomenon. So.
And I like it a lot better not having an alarm clock.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
So I can try to get up early. Doesn't work. I'm out for 8 hours.
I get all these projects going, like writing projects or making things or chatting with you guys or any number of damn things. And you're right. It just feels like there's not enough hours in the day work.
No, there's really not.
So that also disrupts my sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I occasionally have woken up with my laptop and my mug of tea right here, sitting at, like, I don't know how I haven't destroyed every laptop I've ever owned, but I wake up like that. Somehow I didn't spill it.
Check out the made-for-TV ad called Cozy Desk.
Oh, is that what I need?
Yes, you're gonna laugh, but I really think that would help.
No, I'll look at it.
Because you could slow your
my leak rate. Yeah.
By 30% if you get back at 45 degrees.
Right. Well, see, today I did not even stand up until about 3:00.
But if you were to be on a kind of couch that has a pillow behind you, with this Cozy Desk in front of you.
Oh, okay.
Being like back on a couch,
right?
More than anything.
Yeah. Well, the problem here is that if I do that, we have a somewhat open stairwell, and so then all my voice travels straight up the stairs to wake. I
wouldn't say all day.
My daughter.
Sometime when you're doing your work and research, plop on the couch, pull out the Cozy Desk, put the laptop on it.
All right. I'll look into that. Yeah, I mean, that's how I do stuff.
Yeah, and you need to be moving around or your butt's going to hurt. And, so it's an option to change position for a while.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm I still need to get some writing done too. And it's so hard for me to do any writing.
What are you trying to write?
I need to get some books out.
What are you writing?
Well, I would kind of like to write what my vision is, what jobs and what things we need to get doing in order for our grandchildren to live.
Have you started at all? Have you created an outline, or how are you writing it? Or how are you trying to write it?
Well, I've been really creating an outline in my head, and I haven't put it down in writing yet. But as I see topics and thinking about them, I've been making note and concentrating on them to the point where I need somebody that can actually voice them well. I don't want to come across as a scientist or an engineer, but somebody that's trying to solve problems.
Yeah, I'm sure if, I'm sure you'll come up with, there's all kinds of ways to think about writing. Have you ever engaged in just, creative writing endeavors? I know this isn't strictly creative writing, but...
The only books I've written are technical, not even available to the public.
Sometimes it helps to go about it in different ways. Try writing the postscript first, or try relating, imagine that, you had anyone you could to write the foreword to the book. Who would that be? If you could choose anyone in the world.
Yeah, I don't even know that many people to do it yet.
Well, start thinking about it in those terms and ask yourself, what would these people say about my book?
Well, I was thinking of doing a tour of water quality also. And I thought I'd need to write a book to accompany that. I was hoping that if I could just bang something out, that perhaps in my journey I would meet somebody that is interested in helping me write some more professionally.
I can help you to a degree, but I'm not a professional writer.
Yeah.
I've written, what you need is someone who like a science communicator, really.
Yeah. I didn't have to worry about a lot of things since my stuff wasn't going to be public. You said, this is what you do to get this done, and this is what happened, this is software. This is where you can look up information to follow it up.
What's your goal in writing the book? To inform people, to inspire them, and
to make billions.
To make money. Have it sponsored by Chevron. Just flip all the positions that you were going to write.
Yeah.
And that might be a New York Times bestseller.
Another creative way to do it is just write a description of the oil industry in this fluid.
Yeah, find it maybe just start with a local community college.
But I was in a chat today this morning, and people start going off on things like the contrails or the chemtrails. The chemtrails
Oh
are
boy.
killing us.
Wait, what chat was this?
I'm trying to think. Oh, it's a Jimmy Dore chat.
Really? They're going off about chemtrails and that?
Some people were in there, and people think they're doing well passing along this information. But they don't follow it back to the source. These people don't believe in contrails.
They don't believe that in contrails at all.
Right.
They believe they're all chemtrails.
They're all chemtrails. They look up at the sky, and they think, maybe one plane a week or something. They look up in the sky and they expect to see. If it was an airplane, they'd only see one. But it has to be this great big conspiracy because the sky is just crisscrossed with it. Well, if I pull up a radar of all the aircraft that can produce contrails, there are thousands of them across the sky at any given time.
Yeah, when you look at one of those maps, like you can't see the map. Like you could see spots of it, but you see just a bunch of lines crisscrossing.
Yeah, and it's so hard to get across scale and speed to people. It's probably the least explainable. When things hit at high speed, they don't react the same way as they hit at low speeds. When large amounts of chemicals interact with each other, you have different actions than when something is mildly present. And so people start seeing something and they start seeing words and they start assuming danger. Like if you ask somebody what are the biggest 6 greenhouse gases, almost none of them realizes that water is up at the top of the list. Humidity is one of the worst greenhouse gases.
Yeah, it's the way that I look at it is a lot of these people you're not going to convince otherwise.
No, because they only listen to people that are honest, like holistic people.
Well, on the positive side, even though they're wrong, at least they're showing awareness that there are these wider problems.
Well,
and as they become more educated, hopefully they'll transition past some of the nonsense.
They're doing it out of concern. They're trying to pass along what they believe is an issue. Although
And
they're horribly misinformed,
the
they're
issue
still
is
trying to help.
Yeah, exactly.
But when they're spreading these falsities, they're making it harder for the actual things that are real problems to get addressed.
Yes, of course. Muddying the waters. I mean, that's how that works. That's how,
Well, that's how blue booking came about.
Well, yeah, but you can say that a student who gets a problem wrong is hindering the process of getting them through to the next grade. You can say that too. Like, so it's a learning process, and although people are wrong and you shouldn't just allow them to continue spouting ignorance without challenging it. At the same time, you really shouldn't condemn them either.
I agree.
As long as they maintain the initial impulses, I want to help, then it's a matter of education. It's not a matter of apathy or just outright malevolence on the part of some of these larger interests.
But most people, if you bring up that it's incorrect, they view you as a part of a conspiracy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's
the teacher hates us all. Fuck the teacher.
Well, I think it's just people get immediately on the defensive if you, in any way, they feel stupid or they feel like, well, of course there are those people that are just going to think that no matter what. But there are other people that might kind of believe it, but maybe you would present, evidence that it's not true, but you have to approach it in a way where they don't feel like they don't feel like they need to be on the defensive, like, does that make sense? I don't know. It's
Well,
kind of...
in the case, what happened today was somebody mentioned that the trees in Los Angeles are dying. So immediately someone volunteered that it's the aluminum from the chemtrails.
Uh-huh.
And they don't talk about majority of the aluminum that's going to be in the Los Angeles basin is going to be from the engines of cars that are running along the streets beside the trees. So you have to be thinking about everything that's contributing something to the environment, not just the one thing that you want to look at the time. And very few people are looking at, if you're looking for a microgram of aluminum and you're thinking it's coming from an airplane that's 7 miles above you, and not paying attention to the source of aluminum that's 10 times greater, driving by you burning gasoline. To me, these are the issues of every time somebody says chemtrail, we can't have all the aluminum these planes are putting out. They're not asking about the engines. They're not asking about all the other pollutants that are happening so close in front of their face in much larger abilities.
Well, part of the problem with all of that is the lack of education in this country. I'm sorry, but I mean, it's just true. I mean, there's not enough science education. I mean, why do people believe these things?
Well, yeah, a lot of science doesn't actually start in many of grade schools until 4th grade.
Yeah.
And really, it should be started at kindergarten.
I was in something called Olympics of the Mind when I was in school.
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar.
So back, at least when I was a kid, they were still teaching science pretty early.
But you can But you can still get through American public schools skating by without doing that stuff,
Or learning to read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Wow.
Yeah.
When I was at Northern Illinois, we had 4 students that couldn't read. And I was teaching I wasn't a teacher, I was a grad student. I was one of the lowly assistants. So, but we had 4 students in a class that couldn't read, and I was shocked by that.
No child left behind, right?
Yeah, because
it just punishes institutions for failing students.
This was not an entry-level class. Yeah. So they'd been passed in other classes before they got to this one.
Yeah, it punishes schools for failing students, flunking them out of a grade.
And the teacher has to have permission to give them a bad grade.
And some students need to be held back.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to give that kid an extra 1 or 2, even 2 years in the same grade, that could have a significant positive impact in their life.
Oh, no, this was college.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is if you hold them back in high school, by the time they get to college, not only do they know how to read, maybe they can do some other things too, right?
Yeah.
So, some students need to be flunked out. They need to repeat grades, and our system punishes that philosophy.
Because these students would have gone on to get jobs by the forgot the name of the practice, where you have to hire so many of a quota. They would get jobs like that and fulfill the beliefs that people have. So every student that you think that you're passing and doing a good thing, you are ruining anybody's chance of any kind of positive view on that race.
Well, I think with science, though, especially, there's not enough hands-on learning that would maybe get some kids that otherwise might sit there kind of checked out, might get them involved. I mean, I know my daughter, she did Science Olympiad for a little while, and that was great, but that required a lot of outside of school time and actually traveling. A lot of people can't do all that stuff, and so you give a kid that's bored, a worksheet, sit at a desk and do this worksheet instead of, I always bring up school gardens because I think that would be a great way to teach science. Why not let them get out and do stuff, my daughter also really enjoyed where they were doing a water quality project, and they actually got out and collected water and tested things, and that gets kids interested and actually seeing how you apply this in real life. I just think we're failing in that area because they're so bored. They're just like...
Yes, and it needs to be fun.
Right, and it could be fun.
Now, modern schools would never allow this, but one of the ones that I think is the best is egg trebuchets, where you learn physics and math and get to see it demonstrated, and you get to smash stuff. So basically, a trebuchet is like from Monty Python, the thing that flings the cars.
It's a type of catapult.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the making ones that fling eggs or ping pong balls is, to me, one of the best learning processes there are. But almost all schools have banned anything dealing with making a weapon.
Oh.
Or things flying through the air, or like just anything really, because liability.
Yeah. But kids love to make messes. And
yes, like they do. Do you know how many containers of slime I have in my pantry? Because that's all Zoe did for like a year, was make slime.
Oh yes. Trebuchet for slinging slime would be another great one, where you could have them slime each other. That is the kind of thing that gets people interested in science.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mythbusters. I mean, yeah, we watched hours and hours of Mythbusters.
Go get buy a dirt truck full of dirt, dump it, shape it into a mountain type shape. Maybe put little trees around it and stuff. Put a hole in the middle, stuff a whole bunch of baking soda in there, a bunch of water and a bunch of red dye, and you go, and it gets into the newspaper. Because it's like an 8-foot tall fake volcano that the kids are.
Mm-hmm. There's a great YouTube site, ASAP Science. Have you ever heard of that? Zoe got into watching that a lot. I was like, sure, you can be on the internet, if you're watching Brain Games or ASAP Science. But that was one. I think they're still putting out content, but it just made stuff interesting. I don't know. I just think it's boring for kids. They don't see how it can be fun.
I think that needs to be all the way through school.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, to me, there would be no harm in my local high school shop class building a real trebuchet or something, safe. But that would fling something out into the lake. I mean, what's the harm in that? You have people there to make sure the thing's not going to fly into a million pieces and kill a kid.
Well, I think if you were even to fling eggs now, you would get flack from the schools.
Oh yeah, they won't let the kids do anything. Dodgeball, that's a thing of the distant past. Any kind of outing, is just regulated and sign a waiver.
And they just need to...
Kids aren't even allowed to draw a picture of a gun.
Well, they need to just sit there medicated,
Standardized testing is fun. What are you guys talking about? It's fun.
Right.
Hour after hour of standardized tests preparation.
When I was a kid, we used to have to take a whole week of those every year.
Yeah, that's the way it was when I was a kid too. We get I think it was about 2 weeks. I think it was there was the Michigan, the map or whatever, and then there was another one.
We did the Iowa test of basic skills, and it was a week.
You know, I'm so
Yeah, it was
slack.
ridiculous.
I'm so slack about that stuff now. You guys know I have two daughters, 20 and 14. The 20-year-old was, skipped a grade. She did all this, Duke tip, top tier of the gifted program. I wasn't a tiger mom, but I was definitely, I don't know, having her take the SAT early and stuff just for practice. I didn't pressure her, but yeah, she did all that stuff. And you know what? She did not do well the last 2 years of school. She was just not happy with school. She did get into Boston University. She wasn't happy there, as you know, now she's in Scotland. But I just see that sometimes all that stuff really, it doesn't matter for like their actual success. It's not all about that. And you can they put so much emphasis on the testing. And so when I see all this stuff now, put out about the opportunities to take the SAT early and all that, I'm just like, whatever. I mean, my second child does more extracurricular stuff, theater and gymnastics and stuff like that. And I think you can be, so what if you don't test like in the top of whatever? You might be more well adjusted and more well rounded. Just, I don't know. So I feel like sometimes other parents like think I'm just really slack, and I'm like, well, I've already been through this with the older kid, and it's not a guarantee of success. Abby she's in the top tier of the gifted Duke tip gifted program. And I don't know, just saying it doesn't translate into. Oh, hello, whoever. Anybody know who Bones is? Because our chat,
What's up, Bones?
our Zoom link is up, which we hadn't done in a long time. Because oh, hello, oh, hi. Wait, I recognize you from Twitter, right? Wait, are you Carlito?
I don't think he hears us or something.
No, okay, hang on, I think so.
I'm not that,
Yeah, that's him. Hi.
Can you hear us or what?
Oh, I'm not sure.
He's having trouble, or he wouldn't be reaching into the screen like that.
Right. Oh my God, do you have on Bill Maher in the background? What is that? No.
I'm not as familiar with like what goes on in high schools and primary schools.
Mm-hmm.
It's always changing, and I don't have any reason to keep track of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I see the results.
Mm-hmm.
And, and as a consequence, I end up learning more about it.
That is Bill Maher. I saw Bill Maher in the background. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you now.
We can kind of hear you, dude.
I forget how did we initially start chatting on Twitter? Were you there for a town hall, a Bill Sombrello town hall or something? I can't remember. Oh, you can't.
We have a mutual friend. You hear me?
Yep, just barely. It's really faint.
I think Katie, we have a mutual friend.
Oh, okay.
Katie Savage.
Oh, okay. Sounds familiar.
So bad on this. My first time I'm hearing it.
Yeah, that's okay. Are you on your phone?
I'm trying to change the speaker thing. So, give me a second.
All right, try to fix the volume, dude. We can barely hear you.
Yeah, we'd love to have you come on and talk more. Okay.
I'll be back.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, and that's the key. Like, if people are engaged with the topic, let's say it's the environment, and they believe that chemtrails or whatever else is, poses the major danger, like, at least they're engaged. And, they're going to, hopefully, the majority of them are going to start going through a learning process where they say, okay, with enough research, because I had questions. I was never a chemtrail person, but I had questions about it. I wasn't really sure. The more time went on and the more evidence I read about it, the more I became less convinced that, you know, this is what we really need to be worrying about.
Right, right.
So as people go through that process, like, and hopefully they go through it fast, you know,
Yeah.
let's try to engage people. I see people get into these fights over this shit, like, they shouldn't.
Right.
Should have discussions about it.
Do you want to try to talk again? See if you're...
Yeah, I actually can hear you better.
Oh, good. Yeah, we can hear you.
You guys. Yeah. So, you guys were talking about water.
Yes. Do you want to add stuff to it?
Yes. Not too. It's not my area of expertise, water. But no, carry on.
I'm curious. Are you actually watching Bill Maher?
No, I can't take him. It just, I'm a night owl, so there's nothing on TV, and I was just going through channels, but no, that's not my thing.
Okay, yeah, you're in the company of other night owls, obviously. I'm in North Carolina, and it's 1:40 in the morning. So, who's on Bill Maher tonight, though? Curious. Do you see? I haven't watched it in so long.
I watched, right before I came on here, I watched a clip of Overtime with Bill Maher. And one of the points that they brought up was the people who were like, send Hillary to prison, send Hillary to prison. Those people have a secret agenda. And it's to support Trump.
Yeah. but I guess tonight there's Omarosa and Steve, some guy Steve, I don't know.
That's the one I watched, dude. Like, Omarosa was on it.
Well, I'm a former Bill Maher fan. I actually paid to go see him in person. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I saw you met Jimmy Dore.
Oh, yeah, I met him at oh goodness, People's Convergence. That was a little over a year ago. Yeah, he was a really, really nice person. Like, just he and his wife and Ron Placone, just like, I just walked up and said hi, and I didn't expect much, conversation, and he was just super nice and like, well, what do you do? And I kind of was like, I sort of stuttered. I was sort of like not expecting him to give a shit what I was doing. I was just like kind of taken off guard, but he was really, really nice, really friendly. And yeah, I think I love Jimmy Dore. I think he's great. So, I know he gets shit for still being...
Yeah, your Twitter friend, Kate Savage, and me met at a Jimmy Dore.
Oh, okay.
We had a picture of us.
Oh, okay.
I think that's where it would be.
That must have been. Yeah, it's hard to keep up. Yeah, I know Jimmy still gets a lot of shit for being part of TYT, but my feeling with any of that stuff is if you're still speaking the truth and you can do that with one foot in the door, in a place like TYT, then more power to you. If he compromises his message or something. Honestly, I haven't had a lot of time recently. I haven't listened to a whole lot of his stuff, but so you went to a live show of his.
Yeah, the first and only time was one of his comedy shows.
Oh, okay.
Really political. It was awesome.
Yeah. So, what's your...
There's a picture of all of us up there.
Oh, okay. Is that on your Twitter page?
It's on mine, Katie. There's there's a show. I'm not sure how to work this. It's my first time. I actually downloaded the app right now just to get on.
Okay. Oh, very cool. Well, we're glad to have you. Yeah, we all learned from Ebon, right, guys? Mm-hmm. Friend of ours about it's been a year and a half, going on 2 years ago now. He set up all this where we could all come on and talk, and I think It sort of started out as people that were Bernie supporters and pissed off about what happened in 2016, I guess. How we all started talking. But so what is do you want to like talk about your, I don't know, your political stand? If you're a Jimmy Dore fan, I can guess where you are, but
I've been on the Lee show too with them too as well. No, I know them through my support for Julian Assange.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got to know. But I also got to know, Jared Beck and certain, a lot of the Bernie people that were around. I supported Bernie,
mm-hmm.
During the time, but once everything happened, I was like, why would you support DNC and the Democratic,
right.
party after what they did?
Right.
A lot of it got screwed over, I felt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not going to do that over again.
Mm-hmm. So you're not an any blue will do kind of person?
No.
No. Okay. No. And what is your sense of a blue wave happening? Where are you exactly?
I'm in California.
Oh, okay.
Los Angeles.
Okay, and LA.
East side of LA.
Okay.
No, right now, I think what's going on, it's insane. They keep saying the word left. This what's going on in the Democratic Party is they're aligning themselves with the intelligence community and the law enforcement agencies.
Mm-hmm.
They're the first Eric Holder. They're the first. I was around, I'm in Los Angeles. I was around. I was in a motorcycle club. I was around when Fast and Furious was happening. I've seen what they're capable of. More, sometime we'll get a little bit more into my background, but I'm a little bit different than most in that I've seen what the intelligence community and law enforcement agencies are capable of. I was around during Eric Holder's, DOJ
wow.
and Fast and Furious and thing, and the fact that Democratic Party is seemingly more and more aligning themselves with the intelligence community
mm-hmm.
and law enforcement organizations, it's troubling. And
yeah,
I've never seen it. Honestly, I've never seen there's in classical political theory or anything. There's nothing to describe what's going on nowadays. What's happening with the political parties in the U.S. and the way they're aligning themselves more and more
mm-hmm.
with the intelligence community and the police state, secret
yes.
police.
Yes, it's very scary. I got an email today. It's not something I've watched before. It's Niles Nymuth. He's not he hasn't signed our contract. I work with well, never mind. It into that in a minute. He is a socialist candidate for Socialist Equality Party. But anyway, it said live online Facebook meeting, and they were specifically discussing the CIA Democrats and just how many, I've seen this on the World Socialist website page and stuff about how many of them are running for office all across the country that are CIA. So that is scary.
It's the most, from what I understand on record, that it's the most overtly that's ever happened in the history of any,
mm-hmm.
Of our country, that the amount of CIA, ex-CIA or CIA and law enforcement
mm-hmm.
officers running openly,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As members of the Democrat. I'm not saying the Republicans are no better. They're closely aligned with Wall Street and whatever, but
mm-hmm.
it's.
But there's some.
Yeah.
There's something that seems kind of more nefarious about it because it's like people don't realize it. It's kind of it's hidden. But it's if you go to this, it's Niles Nymuth, Niemuth, his Facebook page. They had a live discussion about it earlier, so I think I'll check it out later. But Yeah.
Well, it's not only in politics; it's in our media too.
Yes.
Because all of these media people who openly have or have had television tapings. So they're not even bothering to try to hide it anymore. So you know what that tells on me? That they don't give a fuck. They think that they've got such a goddamn power advantage that it doesn't really matter. We'll just openly state like who we are, and people will accept it. And if they don't, well, maybe we'll arrest them or some shit. Maybe we'll trap them in an embassy.
Yeah. So Brian, who was on here before he left, he's asking if you are for Kenneth. Is that Mejia? Is that how you pronounce it? Do you know him? Candidate?
I think he was around a couple of years ago, a young guy, pro-LGBT candidate for the Democratic Party. Was that who he was?
You know what? It's escaping me right now. Hang on, I've got to look him up. I don't remember. I thought he was. Is he not a Green? I think he's Green Party now.
Green. I know he was LGBT.
Yeah. Okay. I think he's Green Party now.
I'm pretty sure he's Green.
Yeah, Green Party. Yep. Okay. District 34. Yeah. Okay. So, do you want to tell more about your story, or?
Just quickly, because I know. Before. I'm the son of a Vietnam combat vet that got sick from the chemicals they used, so I was disillusioned. A lot military family, so I was disillusioned. So my time was right before Iraq War happened. I was involved in anti-war demonstrations. I worked with a couple of the big organizations at the time. We couldn't stop the war or whatever. Afterwards, I went to a community college and I got a scholarship to UC Berkeley, and I graduated. I got a philosophy. I wanted to do labor law, but afterwards I worked at a law firm. Wasn't happy. Didn't like their culture. Got a Harley Davidson. Joined a motorcycle club. Did my own thing. I was happy, and then lived my life for about 10 years or whatever, and then I got targeted, I guess, because we're 1% of motorcycle club. I didn't understand at the time that things had changed after the 9/11. That I didn't understand how much things had changed, and I don't think most bikers and outlaw motorcycle clubs understand that after 9/11, before 9/11, there used to be a wall between the police officers, the FBI, DHS. After 9/11, you have special operations divisions working with private corporations, working with NSA, working with CIA, and they're using the same surveillance technology and tools against us, American citizens, even though we're bikers. The Fourth Amendment don't mean shit after them. They got a million ways around it. And I got targeted as an officer in my club because I got hit to the game of what was going on. And that's when everything changed for me. So I started learning about Julian Assange and what he was doing, and I came, sympathetic with what's going on. And that's when I got kind of pulled back into politics. Because we're living in a different time period between, we're living in a police state, and I don't think people, because I appreciate it more because I'm a biker in Los Angeles. We're more infiltrated. We're as infiltrated as a Orange County mosque. They're using the same. They're using the same methods and sources that they are in Al Qaeda in San Bernardino Mosque, as they are in informants, Palantir, all that, and it's insane. I didn't understand it. I don't think most people did, and I became a targeted individual. I just, I believe in the Constitution. I believe we have the Fourth Amendment. I don't think, and I know that doesn't mean shit nowadays for certain people. And I know I can't live a normal life or whatever, so I started learning about the law, learning about sources, methods, learning about Julian Assange, learning about, Vault 7, Palantir, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And learning, and that's how I came to know the sources and methods that, everything behind what happened in 2016, how the FBI and the CIA and NSA were engaged in all these operations, and the different pretenses, legal pretenses that they were using about non-U.S. persons, incidental surveillance, the way the NSA collects, Prism, Upstream, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And since then my life's changed, so now I'm just trying to, now that I understand more and more, and I know I can never go back to the way it was before, it's like, okay, what do I do now?
You can't unsee it.
I can't unsee it, and they're not going to let me unsee it because I know too much. I got their sources, I got their methods, I got CHSs. So what politicians are out there, getting our backs, defending our Constitution, defending our rights, Bill of Rights.
So can you share any, how would you, if you were giving pointers on how to recognize an informant? I don't know. How do you?
So, here's one of the because I took a year off everything I was doing when I figured out that they were trying to send an informant and trying to understand how and what the legal processes that they were doing it under. How is not what I didn't understand. They see a CHS is a confidential human source with the FBI, and Terry Albury from he leaked some documents to Intercept, and that was a big help to me. He got busted. He's having a sentencing in like a week. Terry Albury called a CHS assessment guide. It was about confidential informants and how they work. Mm-hmm. And I read those documents that he leaked. They're important. Is that what people don't understand is a few years ago, the amount of from what I understand, there's like 40,000 informants, paid informants in the U.S. right now. There could be more. This was the number that I read. What I understand firsthand is everybody has a weakness. You have an aunt or a cousin that's facing a hard time, or you're economic, you owe taxes, or if you're married to somebody and that person was cheating on you, they know because NSA got all your records or whatever. They know who's cheating on who or whatever, and they're gonna use whatever weakness that.
Bill Binney said that. Like, why does no one turn? Why don't people speak up? Because they have something on everybody.
And what I read in the CHS assessment that Terry Albury leaked to the Intercept was the easiest way that they infiltrate the mosque, for example, is that if somebody has an immigration issue, you're not going to want to leave your kid and your wife because you're on a green card, and the FBI confronts you and says, "Hey, we need this favor. Mm-hmm. You want to go live in send you back where you're going from, or you do us this favor." So it's the easiest way to infiltrate a mosque, for example. Mm-hmm. Here in Los Angeles, and this is why I figured out, and this is why I'm like, my shit's cut, is I figured this is why I'm the first one to figure this out, and this is important, is that a lot of us, I'm third generation, but a lot of us are second, first generation with families from Mexico, Salvador, or whatever. A lot of these people have immigration issues. And I figured out that they were infiltrating people in the club who had what they call U.S. persons. Non-U.S. person is a person who's, from a different country or has immigration status. So what I figured out was, if I send an email out as I was an officer, so if I send an email out to a group of 6 people, Fourth Amendment, law enforcement can't, illegal search and seizures. They can't read our emails, read our text. But if a person on that text group that I send a message, or a Facebook group or a Zoom group, is not a non-U.S. person, we're all incidental collection. It's lawful because they don't have the same rights, and they were purposefully sending people who had immigration issues into a group. In Los Angeles, everybody has immigration issues for the most part. They all have cousins, aunts. And I figured that that's what they were doing to get around the Bill of Rights, our Constitution, the Fourth Amendment. And because I got that, that I became a high-profile target, and that their sources and methods were compromised. And I had the names of the people who were doing it and who was and wasn't.
Wow.
And, and it's all legal.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't think of the term right now. It's in a Jimmy Dore video with Bill Binney where he's talking about the FISA memo, but there's a term.
Benny's famous because he understood the 2 hops. And that's what they do is 2 hops is okay. You and me are talking, right? Let's say there's somebody, a third person on Zoom who has immigration issues, so he's not a U.S. person. They'll be watching him, but because me and you are just a hop away from him, because we're on the same group,
right?
We're legally surveilled.
Yeah.
We're 1 hop, 2 hops.
Right. He mentioned that, and then there's something else he mentions. It's a term. I can't think of it right now, but it was like basically how they managed to catch someone. They get a warrant based on something else. Oh, I'll have to look back at it, but it was parallel
construction. There's parallel construction.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Yeah. Thank you.
This is what special operations do. I know this because I studied it. Because I lived it. Is after 9/11, it wasn't new that you had DEA and Homeland and ICE, but now you have NSC, and NSC has all our comps. So it's not legal for them to collect our emails or whatever. So what they do is they'll say they'll catch one of your emails and they'll send it to local law enforcement saying this person's up to this or that, even though we didn't have a search warrant. Stop that person at the light because he has a broken tail light or something. So that they don't know that it was the NSA who gave them that information.
Right.
Even though they didn't have a search warrant.
Yes.
They got everything. And so they hide it from the courts, from the law, And nobody understands what NSA is up to and how capable. I didn't, even though I knew a lot 2 years ago, I didn't know what they were capable of too.
I just lost my.
Well, that's kind of where the real danger comes from, though, is this collusion of private intelligence contractors. I mean, because at least our federal and state agencies are bound by some sort of law. Oftentimes, these contractors are just let loose, and they're incompetent, and the officials just let them have access to the databases. So, you see the same thing going on in Iraq with just straight up militarism, how subcontracting people out.
Yep.
These people are, they're not bound by, military code of justice. They go around to bullets in fucking civilians and shit. And we see the same kind of philosophy in our intelligence agencies when it comes to citizens. They're just letting private contractors put, quote, bullets into citizens. Letting them spy on, letting them fucking get data collected, putting law enforcement on for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good point. One of the things I learned knew was going on was Palantir. Palantir is a private corporation that collects data. They're working with local law enforcement to create a whole
what's it
data
called?
feed. Palantir.
Okay.
People deal. Palantir. Look that up. I guarantee you, it's insane. It's a private database corporate that does business security. They create AI and all that stuff. They create databases of everybody. It's a private sector, so they have all these little circles of I know this person through this phone number, and that's my cousin, and I dated this person. So all that stuff comes up. So when local police pull you over, they type in your name. It goes into the Palantir database. They have two different programs, Gotham and Metropolis. And Palantir is the same private company that they use, like you were talking about in the military, that they use to track Al Qaeda. And they're using that on U.S. citizens with local law enforcement.
It's ridiculous, man. And just in the last year, they dumped, I forget exactly what the initiative was called or the exact dollar amount, but it was fucking huge. They just dumped a whole bunch of cash into coordinating data collection and intelligence on the local level. Like putting money into local sheriff's departments to do this. There was already some of that, especially in Los Angeles and shit. But in
Los Angeles, New York.
Yeah, in huge parts of the country, it wasn't like that. They're trying to change that. They're trying to make it so, like, these local sheriffs and shit have cash and access they didn't have before. Like these rural sheriffs.
Yeah.
It's a cash cow, man. Like, these companies are making tons of money on it.
Where I live, a couple of blocks away, the local sheriff's department in Monterey Park has just a couple of blocks away. They have these things called stingrays. These are, they're cellular towers. They're kind of to mock a cellular tower so that your phone engages them instead of the actual cellular. It's the kind of technology that they use in Syria, and they're using that on the us citizens. And this is, they have them. Los Angeles, I think, is the worst. And then you have New York and, Chicago, whatever. And because I live in LA and I understand more than most,
it's technology, man. It's just technology. Like, the technology provides these agencies and the government the ability to collude in this way. The laws around technology are intentionally kept vague and shaky in order so they can be exploited.
Exactly.
Exactly. And if you don't like the way things turn out, you got the cash to fight it. Well, the average citizen does. So you keep the laws vague,
Exactly. Like this definition of U.S. persons versus non-U.S. persons. You read that, and I ask you, go look on Cornell law, whatever. You can't find a definition because the courts want to interpret a non-U.S. person as vaguely as possible so that everything they do is legal.
Well, and also, like, there's that other provision with your 50 miles any U.S. border, like, you can pretty much fuck all your rights. Like, and that
encompasses about that. So, about the Border Patrol, Eric?
Yeah, dude, like, it encompasses all of Detroit. It encompasses, I think, I don't think Phoenix is more than 50 miles away from it, but it encompasses all of Tucson and San Diego. Fucking huge portion of the country.
Border Patrol extra powers being that close, right?
Yeah, like search and seizures laws all get...
Yeah, I just read about that they have extra powers up your 50 miles. They can search your vehicle and stuff like that. That's insane.
It's just, so it's just pretty much every small town is going to look like London does now at some point, where you've got computers just following your every goddamn data being inputted into the system, everything, everything. I mean, we think it's bad now. Like, it's going to get crazy.
But I think, was it Julian said that this is the last generation where we know what it's like to not live under surveillance. I think everybody after, in this generation forward, surveillance is going to be the norm.
Well, until society collapses, of course. There'll be nothing to survey.
Yeah, like the whole Kavanaugh thing. Actually, I was going crazy because he was one of the Fourth Amendment deniers, and that was an issue to me, and nobody brought it up. So it doesn't look good. Yeah, it doesn't look good that you have people like that in the Supreme Court. Because a lot of it is none of it's legal, but they find these loopholes and this legal, weasel words.
Gaps.
Like non-U.S. person. Before, a person was like, you're a citizen, green card holder, whatever. Now they're all just non-U.S. person. Even a dual citizen could be a non-U.S. person. So that means, like, basically in Los Angeles, every other person you know who has a cousin who's from Mexico is a non-U.S. person, so they can tap all our phones, all our social media. They're collecting not only content but metadata. In other words, date, times, IP addresses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if for somehow someone falls out of the bounds of legal surveillance, you just saw your shaded contract, and then they.
So. Yeah, no, what she was talking about, Kelly, I think, she was saying about the parallel construction is NSA will collect it, and even though they have no legal right to give it to law enforcement, they'll give it and they'll say, all right, but say you got it under try to create a way where you found it that's legal so it'll uphold in the court.
Right. I could hear, by the way, I could hear most of what you were saying from the other room. Sorry. I had to get my medicinal mug of coffee here at 2:12 a.m. So I'm really glad you came on, and now that you've downloaded Zoom, you can do this more often. But
no, I hear you once in a while. I rarely partake in these things, but it's interesting.
But we always love to hear from new people. It's really cool to have someone new join that has stuff like what you're saying to add to it. But I'm going to have to end it here. I suffer from cerebrospinal fluid leaks, a different kind of leak. But anyway, so I've been up for quite a while, and it's time for me to lie down. But we usually do this, I don't know if you've noticed, Saturday nights kind of just like this, open forum. We talk about just about everything. And then during the week, we do candidate interviews. Brian and I, he left before you came on. But so anyway, yeah, it's a regular thing. Usually we start at 10:30 Eastern. So
on Saturdays?
Yeah. Yep.
That would be 6:30, 7:30.
7:30, yeah. So I can I think I'm gonna start just creating a list. This time the Zoom link is public here, but we had some problems with trolls, so coming on and posting porn. But so we'll do by invitation. But yeah, I'll send it to you. You should come on again.
And if I don't show up every time, it's because I got
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But I'll show up every once in a while.
Yeah, sure. We'd love to hear more. So very nice to meet you.
Good talking.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys have a good evening.
All right.
Have a good night, you guys.
All right. Good night. Good to see you, Garden. And Snork, as always. And good night.
Bye.